Hello and welcome. Jay Fiset. We are at the Mastermind Roadmap, and we have a fantastic program for you today. And this program is going to teach you the fundamentals of how to position, launch, and lead your own mastermind. I have a whole bunch of teaching segments that are going to help put all of those pieces together. I have got a handful of really brilliant guests who are actually using the Mastermind model to scale their business, and we are going to have a ton of fun. So there's a couple of things that I need you to know about this, because first and foremost, this is a live show, okay? So whatever happens here is going to happen out there. There's good news to that, and there's bad news to that. The good news is we have this fabulous team of people here serving and supporting us. Over on my right, we've got Mike. Over my right, we've got Greg. We've got Rob, who's manning the chat. So say hello to Rob. So that's the good news. The entertaining news is that sometimes things don't go exactly as planned. So on that note, I ask you to have a little bit of fun with us. And the very first thing that you need to know is that I'm going to be keeping an eye on the chat here as well, because this is live, it is interactive, and it is my intention to answer your questions so that you can apply what I'm teaching you to your life, to your business. So one of the first things I want you to do is this, I want you to type in, if you haven't joined the chat, you'll see a little window to the right of the screen on your screen, which says RSVP to chat below. Click that button. Make sure that you join the chat, and when you jump in the chat, tell us, number one, your name, number two, where are you coming from? I mean, we have Budapest, we have Hungary, we have England, we have Denver, we have Calgary, Sacramento, we have Canmore, we have Vancouver, we have all over God's green earth, and that's just getting started. So say hello, tell us where you're from, we want to know. Now the next piece to that is, as we're going through the process, my team is going to do their best to answer questions for you directly. And they're also going to be logging questions for our Q&A. So in our time together, there's going to be at least 3 specific Q&A opportunities. And just to put it in perspective, this is a hell of an opportunity to pick my brain. My history on this is I've been running masterminds and versions of masterminds for over a quarter century. I have seen it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And frankly, my one-on-one time and my coaching processes are not inexpensive. So you've got me here today. You've got me live. I strongly suggest tap into my wisdom, my experience, because I'm here to serve and support you. And the other thing I want to let you know as well is that hang out here. Pay attention here. This is not one of those things, one of the reasons we do live streams instead of, the webinars is that I think that sometimes it's not obvious that a webinar is live. Other times, we're in the middle of surfing Facebook, vacuuming the floor, and babysitting the kids all at the same time. And I want to ask you to give yourself a gift. And here's the gift. It is this. Dedicate this time to what could be one of the highest leverage activities in your entire life and business. Because the truth is, if you choose to launch a mastermind, we can help you add 6 figures to your bottom line. Please hear this, your bottom line, with joy, with ease, with a community, and with a tribe. So that's what we're going to be up to. That's how this whole process is going to look. And I ask you to say hello from wherever you are, introduce yourself, and ask questions like mad. And my team will answer all the ones that they can. They'll also log the greatest ones for the Q&A that will serve and support the entire community. So on that note, and this is the other thing you got to know, is that in terms of live streams and how those things go, sometimes there's a bit of a lag between what's happening here and what you see there. So if you're seeing me look over here, it's because I'm trying to jump in and see what's going on in the chat window so that I can serve and support. Make sure you're, yeah, all good. Hello from Texas. Hello from Oregon. Hello from Kalamazoo. Yes, that's a great point. So Mike on my team here was just pointing out as well, if you're on mobile, because I actually can see a couple people are at the airport on their iPhone, those sorts of things. Sylvia Lee from Saskatchewan, Canada. Cochin? So I'm from Saskatchewan, and I have never heard of Cochin. If you've ever been to Scepter, those are my roots. But if you are on mobile, I want to just point this out. When you communicate in the chat window, and you want to type in mobile, and it's just the way mobile works, takes you to a separate page to type in and interact. And just know that you just click your back button, and it takes you right back to the video. So if you're on desktop, you'll see all this stuff in the same spot. If you're on mobile, it'll go back and forth, but just type your question. We will answer it, come back to the video, all good. Okay, let me just check in here. Columbia, South Carolina, Los Angeles. All right. Ixtapa. Love it. Okay. Make sure I haven't missed anything. Beautiful. Okay. So let's talk for a little bit about why a mastermind. You know what? Here's the reality of it. Masterminds help you break the time for money bind. And if any of you are in coaching businesses or consulting businesses and you've been trading your time for money, this is a simple way to collect the people who like you, love you, want more of you, and start operating your business at scale. That's number one. Number two is that it builds community in a way that is different than when you just have one-on-one clients. What happens is you end up with this bit of a safety net that is kind of cool and amazing. And number three, here's what really happens, is that you begin to leverage up, please hear this, leverage up your contribution. And I'm willing to bet that each one of you who is listening here, you are heart-centered, mission-driven entrepreneurs, heart-centered, mission-driven coaches, heart-centered, mission-driven human beings who want to make a difference in the world. So this is about scaling your impact. Now, our brand, I don't know if you can see it behind me. If I go the other way, it says Mastermind Millionaire. I want to address that right out of the gate as well, because here's what happened. People either see it one way or the other, and it kind of makes me smile, which is what happens is this. Mastermind to Millions is designed as a double entendre, which is this. We want you as a mastermind leader to be wealthy, abundant, free, because the truth of the matter is that every degree of freedom that you increase, your contribution increases tenfold. And that is not an exaggeration. I've been at this for, this whole world for like 30 years. It's true. The next piece to this is that we want the support of masterminds in front of millions of people. We want the community, the connection, the capacity to leapfrog one another to make our, our contribution to the world. We want it available in a broader way, which is why we dedicate ourselves to training and serving and leading masterminds. Now, on that note, just want to check in, make sure our stuff is going out, everything is good. 40 miles north of Cochin, north of North Battlefield. This is a Saskatchewan conversation. 149 people in winter. What's funny about that is my little hometown of Scepter, just for fun and entertainment, is that there's about 60 people on a good day when all the farmers are in town. So it gives you an idea of how small my roots are. Hello, Ruth Ann. How are you? So good to see you. Where is Kalamazoo? I have no idea where Kalamazoo is. The team wants to know where the heck Kalamazoo is. I always sort of thought that was one of those made-up names, but that it wasn't really a real one, but apparently it is. Okay, so I hope you get that whole big picture. That's all fantastic. I want to just talk to you a little bit about what sometimes people don't know. And whether you realize this or not, all of the big players, most of them built the foundation of their business with I'm going to call it a premium or a high-end master. And what's interesting, and this is very fascinating, and I'm just going to give you a whole long list, and this is not about singling anyone out. This is about you understanding the strength, the necessity of having a mastermind in your business model. So here are some examples. So Lisa Sasevich, the queen of sales without being salesy. Love her, brilliant woman, does incredible work, and her sales training program, as fantastic as it is, let's be clear about this, she built most of her business on a premium mastermind that actually goes all the way up to $100,000. What the heck are you laughing at over there? Somebody just about fell off their chair. I'm assuming it's about Kalamazoo, but we'll find out soon.
In Michigan! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark!
Kalamazoo, Michigan. Okay, these are things that Canadians don't necessarily know. I'm sure Americans do. So Lisa Sasevich, Suzanne Evans. Now Suzanne Evans, I love her dearly. In fact, she was the person who taught us this whole live streaming technology. So I'm very grateful to her. She helped us out at our live events, Mastermind Millionaire Live, which I'm going to tell you about a little bit later. She went from being fundamentally a secretary, earning 5 figures, into a $7 million a year business. And she broke her first million. Guess how? Mastermind Group. So, Jeff Walker, founder of the Product Launch Formula. Justin Livingston, his LEAP program. Christian Michelson, he calls it the biggies. There's a whole variety of them. But here's what I need you to know, is that masterminds, mastermind groups, and the role that masterminds play in the business model of all of the big players is unbelievably important. the truth is this, and just like repeat it after me, and I'd love for you to type it in. I'm ready for a mastermind. And by the way, even if you don't think you are, I give you my word. I will serve, support, teach, give you the resources that you need to roll a mastermind out. If you are ready to increase your bottom line, if you're ready to have more fun in your business, if you're ready to build a business model that models the biggies, no pun intended for Christian Michelson's mastermind, I want you to type in the little chat window, I am ready for my mastermind. Now I'm looking over here and it's like, I forgot that there's the little delay. All good. Okay, so let's use a PowerPoint for a moment or two while they're doing that, and I'm just going to show them, and we're just going to do some quick definitions of a mastermind because I'm talking about a mastermind. I want to make sure that we are on the same page of what a mastermind is. So bring her on up. Ta-da! The magic of a 5-camera studio, which I really, really like. Anyway, so what is a mastermind? I'm going to go through this quickly. So first of all, we cannot have a conversation about masterminds without tipping our hat to the brilliant and amazing Napoleon Hill. Now, most of you know that Napoleon Hill wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, a variety of other programs, or a variety of other books, and is sort of the father of many thoughts and ideas along this topic. The key thing that I want you to understand is that Napoleon Hill was charged with the task of finding out what did the most successful human beings on planet Earth have in common. And part and parcel of what he discovered is that they all had these amazing networks of other people that they worked with, other people they could count on. A community where people shared, and we're going to talk more about this, and this is one of those things you should be writing down right now. They shared network, resources, wisdom, and experience. And I want to be very clear about this. Network, resources, wisdom, and experience. And if you can create a mastermind group that actually creates the open flow of those 4 things, you have done something that quantumly accelerates people's evolution and growth. So I'm just going to check into our chat window here. I'm ready for a mastermind. I am finally ready for a mastermind. Somebody said that's brilliant. I'm ready for multiple masterminds. Ruth Ann, I like how you think. By the way, I'm going to do a quick little aside for this. My friends, you can have as many masterminds as you want. I give you my word, you can have as many masterminds as you want. But there is a cardinal rule which you cannot break. Okay, you cannot break this cardinal rule, and it is this. You launch one mastermind at a time. And the honest goodness truth is this. I've been at this, like I say, over a quarter century. And in fact, there's one of my guests today. I'm going to ask her about her experience of attempting to launch more than one mastermind at a time. And what I can tell you is this, that it sends a fuzzy and unclear message to the universe. It sends a fuzzy and unclear message to your tribe. And if you really want to win at this, one mastermind at a time. When that first mastermind or second or third is fully up and running and operational and things are smooth and all the rest of it, great, you can launch your second mastermind. But you cannot, please hear this, the cardinal rule of the universe, you cannot launch more than one at one time. It will bite you in the ass and not in a fun way. All right. I'm ready. Okay. What were those 4 things? I will repeat the 4 things. Write these down. Number 1, the 4 elements of a mastermind that works. And this is what the experience is. It is to have a community and a tribe that shares openly. Number 1, network. So other people that I know, people who are connected. Resources. And those resources, by the way, could overlap with network, but that could be also resources of something like this, a studio. We help a bunch of people in our mastermind groups by utilizing this studio to do live streams like this. So it could be resources. Network, resources, wisdom, and experience. And sometimes I'm asked the question, it's like, well, isn't wisdom and experience the same thing? And the answer to that question is, hell no. And let me just draw the distinction quickly, is that the entire world has experience. Many of our experiences are fiascos on wheels. They don't work particularly well. Actually, I'll use an experience or an example here. I don't know, not too long ago, we were just beginning to use this studio and learn how to use it. And we had the experience of beautiful streaming technology, great facility, all the rest of it, and the audio was a freaking fiasco. Now, that was the experience. I say, hey, careful, you got to take care of your audio. That's one thing. But wisdom is the application and the lessons integrated into our life and business with the experience. Because lots of people have experience, but they keep doing the same dumb you-know-what over and over and over again. So it's like, oh, I got this experience. But wisdom is the application of that. So that's why those 2 things are separate, because I might still be in the experience of, hey, we're having trouble with audio. However, you can tell right now, audio is working really quite fine and beautiful and amazing and wonderful. That is the wisdom of what it takes to get it handled. So they're two different things. Hopefully that makes sense, gang. I'm just going to check in on our list here. Oh, fantastic. So Ruth Ann, you're already up and running. That's brilliant. I love it. We'll bring, yes, beautiful. So I'm just going to read what Ruth Ann said. So my current mastermind has evolved over the last year and 3 quarters. They are ready to expand and to help others with masterminds. I love that. I was at Mastermind to Millions in December and was a slow start on the boot camp, but I'll be bringing somebody to as a guest in September to Mastermind to Millions Live. I love that. So Ruth Ann, I know that you'd heard my rant about one at a time a bunch of times in the boot camp program and at Mastermind to Millions Live. I just wanted to say it here for the benefit of everyone else as well. Alrighty, so back to our slide. So what is a mastermind? So a mastermind traditionally is a small group of people that meet to grow, learn, evolve, and support one another. Now, please understand this. When I say a small group of people, as a generalization, I'm talking about a small group of people, let's call it 8 to 12, somewhere in there. I think that's kind of like the magic area. And when we're at that 8 to 12 process, we can create great intimacy and connection. Now, when I'm talking about that kind of a mastermind, what I'm really talking about, gang, is a longer-term mastermind. One of my favorite terms is a year. We do teach a process called a beta mastermind, which is more 90 days to 120 days. But that's usually what I'm talking about. But please understand this. There are other ways to do that. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples instead of the longer commitment of event-based masterminds. That's going to be some of our core content and topic today is this idea of event-based mastermind. Now, next thing is this, is that it can be on any topic in the universe. It can have any meeting length. It can be virtually any format. So this goes back a little bit to one of the very first questions that I was asked way back when, and I did make a note of it, but I think it got lost in the stream, but we'll cycle back to it, about is this a one-size-fits-all process? And the answer to that question is, Lord, no. This is not a one-size-fits-all. And in fact, I'm going to teach today in our program, I'm going to teach something that we call PPSP, which is the 1,000-foot view about how to put a mastermind together, please hear, that uniquely fits your tribe, that uniquely fits your promise, that uniquely fits your business, so you get to create this in any way, shape, or form that you like. Now, here's the good news and the bad news to that. The good news is you've got unbelievable freedom. Yahoo! You get to do what you want to do. And the bad news is, in the absence of structure, people sometimes get lost and spin and spin and spin and spin. So what we do our very best is to provide you with a structure that you can just insert your gifts, insert your talent, insert your unique tribe, insert your particular flavor so that you can go, I have the safety and consistency of a structure and a system, but I'm not stuck doing it somebody else's way. I hope that makes good sense to you. I'm just going to check messages again here. Ruth Ann, fantastic. Nancy Lee, you're coming to Phoenix as well. That's outstanding. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. There we go. Okay, so just one more piece on that slide that I want to pop up. And it is this. It's a spiritual process. Now, I just want to speak to this for a moment or two, because sometimes people get lost on this. And I need to be very, very clear with you. I am not talking about this being a religious process, okay? So it doesn't matter to me in any way, shape, or form. If you're a Christian, if you're a Muslim, if you're a Buddhist, if you're a nudist, I don't care. The part that I want you to be perfectly clear about is this, is that when we actually create the community, the authenticity, the connection, and the tribe, where 8, 12, or in some cases, 30 to 150 people show up, and how they show up is they want to contribute to you. They want to share their network, their wisdom, their resources, their experience. They want to give to you. They want to stand, and this is how I like you to think about it. They want to stand for the best in you, even at those times when you forget. And you feel called to stand for the best in them, even when perhaps they forget. Make no mistake about it, we all go through these ups and downs in our lives, in our businesses, in our relationships, in our masterminds, in all of those pieces. I'm told it's a growing faith. I could be wrong. You know what? I say that in almost every show, but not everybody always hears it. So obviously somebody caught it this time. Yeah, that's funny. But my point is this, is when we really stand for the best in one another in that manner, like truly stand for the best in one another. Here's what's actually transpiring in a mastermind group. Standing for the best in someone is an act of love. I want you to be clear about that. Standing for the best in someone is an act of love. And I don't care what kind of mastermind you want to run. That could be a personal development mastermind. That could be a spiritual evolution mastermind. That could be a self-care mastermind. That could be a business mastermind. That could be a technology mastermind. That could be an entrepreneurship mastermind. That could be a women's goddess mastermind. That could be a men's group mastermind. I don't give a you-know-what. When done well, and we create the context, the framework, the authenticity, and the container for people to truly be authentic and stand for the best in themselves and in one another, magic happens, and that, my friends, is an act of love. So when I say it's a spiritual experience, what I need you to get is there is magic in the experience of when we're standing for the best in one another, where solutions, where opportunities that would never, ever, would not be possible on our own, just magically appear, effortlessly get executed, and we find ourselves catapulted forward in magical ways. So if you have been in a new 12 intimacy, if you have been in a mastermind group, or if you've been in something like that, where you've had that experience of truly and genuinely experiencing synergy, meaning that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, meaning that you have had one of those magical moments of seeing yourself differently, having a solution to a problem that perhaps had been vexing you for a while. And it was in this experience of community with another group of people that this transpired, and you know what I'm talking about. I want you just to type in the chat like, hell yes, I know the magic of masterminds, any of those pieces. All right. Want to make sure we get this next slide up. If you could just pop that up for me, brother. Because here's the key piece to this. If you understand what a mastermind is, and that's a broad definition, clearly, I want you to just recognize that for every single one of you, there is more money lying around you on the ground than you can shake a stick at. And the truth of the matter is this, is that by not utilizing masterminds, or perhaps not utilizing masterminds to the degree that you could, the reality is many of you are in the process of stepping over dollars to pick up pennies in your business. And stepping over dollars to pick up pennies just isn't wise. All right, gang. I just want to check in. And by the way, somebody said that they're looking for a roommate for Phoenix. I would strongly recommend, gang, just post that in the Facebook group. That will help you get connected with a bunch of different people. Yes, I've experienced that. The Phoenix gig, Gloria, is going to come up, is in it's September 15th to 17th. I'm going to tell you guys about it, and I'm going to give you a wicked invitation after. All right. Now, we are going to, if you can just turn that slide off for me for a moment or two. That's the whole overview. There's a whole bunch of other things I could say about it, but we're not going to right now. What I want to do is this. I want to actually teach you something about how we view masterminds and how we structure masterminds. But I'm just trying to get it up on the slide here, if you can bear with me a little bit. Okay, well, you know what? It looked to me like somehow or another. Oh, there it is. Okay, perfect. Okay, if you could show that slide for me, brother. It's all well and fine for me to define what a mastermind is. We're using Napoleon Hill's example. Some of you have experienced it, some of you have. But I do need to be clear with each of you. I have a little bit of a unique approach to masterminds. And I want to share what my unique approach to masterminds is. Because in all seriousness, I teach and support people with what I would call a hybrid model. And I want you to be really clear about what that hybrid model is. So let's start at the very beginning, which is this. My mastermind groups start with the intention to create what I call familial support. Okay? Now, familial support is perhaps best described as this. If you've ever been to a Christmas dinner or to a Thanksgiving dinner with your family and loved ones, or nearly loved ones, depending upon the family, and you're enjoying time with them, it's all fantastic and amazing, but there's also, because you know each other well enough, there's also the capacity to disagree. In fact, you might even have like a rip-snorting argument or a fight or any of those sorts of things. So I'm just going to, I'll use a personal example. So my oldest sister, Lynn, who I love dearly, who she and I have worked together and with and for one another in a variety of different ways for almost 30 years. But the honest to God truth is we don't agree on many, many things. She's brilliant, has a different view. I think I'm not, fairly sharp. I've got a different point of view. But there's lots of challenging debate, many, many times. But here's the difference, is that we can have a challenging debate at Thanksgiving dinner. And at the end of Thanksgiving dinner, at the door, we give each other a hug. We tell each other that we love each other. And we both know that if there's anything required, and it is possible, physical, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, for us to actually be there for the other human being, we would do that. That's what we call about familial, that's what we're talking about in terms of familial support. Now, here's the honest to goodness truth. We go to the next slide. You're going to see a little bit of education. Now, most of the time, and many of the things that are called mastermind groups in today's world isn't actually really a mastermind group. It's actually a high-end, premium, large group coaching program. And I'll just give you a brief example, and then we'll talk about the distinction here. A very dear friend of mine was looking for a mastermind group. She had targeted a mentor that she really, really admired and quite loved, frankly, and got into the conversation about her premium mastermind program. And she was really excited about it because she wanted that experience of intimacy, of a hand-selected group, of a bunch of movers and shakers together. And here's what transpired. She gets into the conversation, and here's how it sounded. It's like, oh, you were going to love the mastermind group. Because what it is it's me, and it's 150 of my closest and nearest, actually that's not true, pardon me. It's 250 of my closest and dearest friends and clients together in a mastermind group where I teach much of the same stuff I've been teaching this way. And it's like, no. Where is the shared network, resources, wisdom, experience with the people who are in the group? Like, well, there really isn't any. And my friends, that's not really coaching. That's not really a mastermind group. That's more of a coaching program. Now, here's the paradox. In masterminds that last and have sustainability, because many masterminds start and then fizzle. And, in our Launch Your Mastermind 90-Day Bootcamp, in our Mastermind to Millions Live program, we talk about why that happens and teach you how to make sure yours doesn't. But one of the key pieces to this is that a little bit of education is part of the glue and the mortar that keep a mastermind group not only together, but it lubricates the movement of the group towards their stated objective. So, number one, we are going to create this familial support. Think of it almost like a support group. Number two, we're going to provide education that is meaningful, completely in alignment to that group, and that doesn't dominate the group and overshadow the mastermind component, but it does lubricate the process. It does move us forward. I hope that makes good sense to you. And then what we do is this, is that we wrap, and I'm just going to put the next two up. It came in a funky order. Then we work on what we're going to call the true or the pure mastermind component, where we do a series of hot seats, where people get to bring goals and issues and vision to the group, and we get to crowdsource, quite literally, solutions, ideas, resources, network, wisdom, and experience to accelerate our evolution. So those are the three pieces that we teach. And of course, and this is one of the key tips and tricks that I want you to know, is that we wrap all of that around creating tremendous clarity of their personal and their business mission or goal. And when that occurs, that is the kind of mastermind that we are talking about. So on that note here, I just want to check in with messages here, make sure I haven't missed anything. The tipping point in evolution of our mastermind group blew my mind a year and a half ago. Past 60 days have been exploding with action and synergy. Ruth Ann, I so love hearing that. And one of the things that I just want to use this example with Ruth Ann is that we have been really teaching this mastermind process in earnest for about 2 years. And actually in my introduction, I realized that I forgot something that is probably pertinent to you, which is, who the hell is Jay Fiset and why do I care about his experience with mastermind? And the answer to that question that I want to just be really succinct and transparent about is simply this. I owned and operated and ran, and I still do, a personal transformation organization, which was called Personal Best Seminars. And did that for, well, still doing it, I guess, so about 30 years. And, a funny thing happened. if you've been to workshops, programs, seminars, live events, is that often people have these breaks and it's like all amazing, astounding, and there's, you know, perhaps even emotional expression and people clapping. It's like, good for you, and that's amazing, and all of those things. And those are beautiful moments. Let us not diminish that in any way, shape, or form. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful moment. However, this is what's interesting, is that I am not that interested in the moment. The moment is fine, but what I deeply care about, what moves me to the core of my being, is the application and the integration and the actual change in that person's life and business. Are they a better parent? Are they more free? Do their relationships hang together in more meaningful and significant manner? That's the part I care about. So after, you know, running personal transformation weekends and programs for a couple of years, it became clear to me that people needed more support. So I designed systems and processes called Masterminds for people to have longer-term support to live into the transformation, to live into the glimpse they got of themselves. And, you know, quite literally, I had been doing that for the better part of 20, 25 years in different formats and structures. And then a couple of years ago, what transpired is that somebody asked me, you know, how'd you do that? I said, well, you know, we designed a process, and I gave away a binder called the Mastermind Mentors Manual. And that Mastermind Mentors Manual, which has, you know, the structure and the process and all those pieces, that Mastermind Mentors Manual, which we spent, by the way, at the time, well over, and this is like 20 plus years ago, $15,000 designing, testing, tweaking, adjusting, adapting, all those things, until we came up with a structure and a format that really, really, really worked. So this is how I come to this. I am not somebody jumping on the mastermind bandwagon, because it seems like everyone and their dog has a mastermind these days. We've been at this for 25 years. We have positioned, launched, and led literally hundreds of our own masterminds, and I have helped, quite literally, thousands of other people position, launch, and lead their mastermind. I'm also the guy, I'm playing with a new program. You guys might get a charge out of this. I'm playing with a new program that's called Mutiny on the Mastermind. And Mutiny on the Mastermind. I'm being somewhat facetious, just to be clear. But the reason I say that is that I'm also the person that a bunch of the big names that you know in the internet marketing world, in the personal development world, in the transformational world, when their masterminds go a little awry, I'm the person that they call to try to get it back on track. So just know that I have an inordinate amount of experience with this. I have seen it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm here to serve and support you to model the good, steer clear of the bad, and warn you with epic red flashing signs to not go anywhere near the ugly. So I hope that makes some sense and helps you understand what we're going on. Beautiful. I just going to check in with our list here. Been masterminding with my dad. Come up with an action plan. Amazing magical type ideas come through the process. Absolutely, without a doubt. This is great. Fantastic. Yes, it truly creates a profound spiritual transformation. Yes, want to share a room in Phoenix. That's fantastic. All right, good. So, how are we time-wise? Okay. I think I've got time to teach you one more thing before we dive into our first guest. And let's start with 10,000-foot view. And by the way, gang, as this is going on, any other questions that you have, please just post them in the chat so that we can come back to them and make sure that we address them for you, because we want to make sure that we answer your actual question. Okay. Kelly, that's a great question. We will address that one as well shortly. Okay, I'm going to just move around here in terms of getting to what I want to teach you next, and then we're going to, and then I'm going to draw it on the easel as well, just so we can talk about it. All right, get your pen and paper out, or your fingers to your keyboard, because I'm going to teach you the 1,000 or 10,000 foot view about designing a great mastermind. And we call it the PPSP. Now, I want to be clear about this before I show you this slide. is that this came as a response to the number one question in 2.5, 3.5, 4.5 years of really addressing and serving supporting coaches, authors, entrepreneurs, consultants, subject matter experts, position, launch, and lead their own masterminds. The question that I hear at the top of the list over and over and over again is this. And it's a question which I have developed a little bit of resistance to be perfectly clear. And the question is this, is like, oh, I'm going to run a mastermind. Oh, that would be fantastic. Oh, I'm going to get like 10 people. Oh, how much can I charge? And honest to God, I have to tell you this in complete transparency. Every time I'm asked that question, I feel like grabbing a fork and poking their eye out. Honestly, sometimes the jokes are just for me. But here's the honest to God truth, is that it's the wrong question in the wrong order. So I've developed this view to help people look at this from a different perspective. Because the honest to goodness truth, I'm going to make a suggestion to you. If you are launching a mastermind for the first time, if you're launching a mastermind for the first time, how much you can charge ought to be the last question. So let me teach you the questions in order of significance, and then I'm going to give you a little writing exercise to go through it. So don't get too far ahead of me, because I'm actually going to give you a chance to actually write and give some thought to this and all of those things. If you could share that slide, we can pop it up. Just because the writing's small in that one, can we make that one full screen, and I'll just speak to it for a moment or two? I think it'll make it a little bit easier for them. Okay, so this is the PPSP. So if you got your text at the top, just put in PPSP. And here's what PPSP stands for. And by the way, if you do work with me further and you come hang out with me in Phoenix for Mastermind Millionaire Live, you will know that I have a deep love for Venn diagrams. My preferences are 3 pieces, but this one took 4. So the top of the list is this. When you are working on your mastermind, you always start with the promise. You start with the promise, you start with the promise, you start with the promise, you start with the promise. And if you think about the promise is this. What will your members experience? What will they learn? Who will they meet? What will be different in their lives? What are they going to dedicate themselves to being and doing and having in their business, in their life, in their world? What is the promise? So here's the honest to goodness truth, and I need you to get this, is that asking how much you can charge before articulating the promise is batshit crazy. It doesn't make any sense. So, promise is where we start. Now, here's the next piece to this, is that the promise is not enough, because the promise has to be crafted for a particular profile, a particular avatar. And this is where we do positioning, right? So we have to make sure that this promise is important to this group of people. Now, here's some ways to think about this. Who has paid money for this in the past? Who is currently paying money for this type of a result? And I'm just going to give you an example for just to play with this, is that depending upon the industry in which you are operating, there's quite a range. So for example, if you're in the entrepreneurial world, you can charge a premium price for a premium entrepreneur who is going to add significant income to their business. So I'll just give you an example of a mastermind that I am just in the process of rolling out. Basically, we're calling it some version of the 7-figure business blueprint. Now, here's a little hint, my friend. If the promise and the name of your mastermind group are quite related, that's usually a very good thing because it helps people connect the dots. Now, the positioning. The positioning is very specific for this particular mastermind. It is this. It is mid-6-figure earners. So they're doing, generally speaking, somewhere between 250 and let's call it 500,000 plus or minus a year. But they've sort of hit their head on the ceiling. They can't get past that. And what they require is some external support, some additional resources for them to leap into 7 figures. Now, I'm very clear about who they are in terms of positioning. In terms of their sales, I'm also very clear that they also have an online program that they've at least launched once. They're also reasonably comfortable selling from stage. They may or may not have done their first event on their own, but we're going to help them do their own event. So I have a very, very specific positioning. And I can filter yes, no in a nanosecond if this is right for them. Okay, so the promise, the 7-figure business breakthrough. The positioning, mid-6-figure earners who are committed to breaking 7-figure. Those two things come together really quite easily. Now, here's the thing. Structure. Now, I'm going to we can go back to me full screen for a moment or two, because I want to poke fun at something. And if you don't know me, by the way, I'm a bit of a smartass at heart. So here's, but I actually don't think what I'm about to say, it's going to sound a little bit like a smartass, but I actually don't think that it is wrong. I don't think that it is even understating it in any way, shape, or form. And it's this. The vast majority of masterminds that exist out in the world today started somehow like this. Somebody is trying to learn something, and they get on a call with a pretty good marketer, and they find themselves buying a mastermind. And let's imagine that it was a significant price mastermind. Let's imagine that it's a $20,000 mastermind. And they get on a plane and they go to their first mastermind meeting, and as they sit down in the room, often there's somewhere between, depending on how it was sold, 50 people, 100 people, 250 people. And as they sit down, it's like, wow, 50 people at $20,000 bucks. That's $1 million. And even before, so they're just about to sit down, even before their ass hits the chair, the thought goes, I'm going to run a mastermind. But the truth is, they don't have any education, experience, or structure into any clue what they're doing. So here's what transpired, is that they do what, there's arguably is not a bad idea if you don't have any other support and training and experience, is that they mimic the structure of their mentor or the mastermind they took. It's like, oh, yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to have 2 weekend masterminds. We're going to have 4 calls. We're going to do a Zoom call. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And that's the structure. And the structure is dictated not by what fulfills the promise best, but the structure is dictated by the only damn thing I know and can draw upon. So if we could just go back to our little model for a brief moment. So structure. All you're asking is this. If my promise is what? You insert the blank, whatever it happens to be. That could be getting from 5 figures into 6 figures. That could be 6 figures into 7 figures. That could be more spiritually connected. That could be a more loving relationship. That could be being a better parent. It doesn't matter what your promise is. And please understand, it doesn't matter what the area is, these design principles apply, which really gets back to that first question, which we've answered a couple of different ways, is this is definitely not a one-size-fits-all. So you begin to answer the question of what structure actually assures the delivery of the promise. What structure assures the delivery of the promise? So, and I'll just use an example in the seven-figure breakthrough. We do things such as build our own events that people can practice their sales presentations, so that they can practice on our dime, not on theirs. Other parts of the structure is that we utilize every single one of the group's processes as case studies so that we can accelerate the learning for everyone, because they're all in a similar process, albeit in different topics, niches, and industries. So we get to take, 10, quite literally, we get to take, well, plus my experience, but we get to take 10 years of learning and compress that into 9 or 10 months. It's quite magical and astounding. So those are just 2 examples of structure, but you just have to answer the question, what structure will fulfill this best? Now, the next piece to it is this, and this is the final piece, and this is the part that I want you to be really clear about. The next piece is price. Price. Now, only when we can look at this from the big picture of promise. What's the promise? Positioning. Who cares about this promise? What kind of money do they spend on solving this particular problem or meeting this particular promise? What is the structure that absolutely epically delivers on this? Can we then begin to talk about price? And only then can we really intelligently talk about price. So I'll give you one other brief example. And how are we making out guest-wise? Are we ready to go? Okay. So then I won't do this very long because I want to hear. We got a great example of a win of somebody who has just been doing some of these key things. So the brief example is this. I once co-led a mastermind group, and it was aimed at what I would call elite entrepreneurs, a bunch of alpha males who had they are self-made men. And we wanted for them to get outside of the life that they designed with another group of absolute rock stars in their particular arena and process, so that they could sort of get on the balcony, think of the curmudgeons in the Muppets, get on the balcony and see their life more honestly, accurately, and clearly. Now, the only way to fulfill that from a structure perspective is to get them out of their world. So that particular structure had 4 weekend retreats, and we went all over God's green earth, everywhere. One of them was South Africa, Telluride, way up north where cell phones don't work, all of those pieces in Canada. But it was getting them separated from their day-to-day lives was imperative. And as we looked at all those pieces, is that there was 2 parts to that particular fee structure. One was membership in the mastermind, which was $24K. And the next one was the travel and all those pieces, which people paid for on top of. So you've got to put this in perspective to those pieces before you can answer any questions around that. So, my friend, here's the honest to God truth, and I am not underestimating this in terms of all the people I've spoken to, just in this live stream thus far. If you understand the 4 elements that you want to get out of a mastermind, which is network, experience, wisdom, and resources, you can design your mastermind that way. If you get that you need a hybrid model that includes a little bit of education, familial support, and then the mastermind experience, and you use these 4 design structures, I can tell you without exaggeration that you are actually further ahead than many people who are already running masterminds. Shit you not. I'm just as serious as I can say it. The things that cross my desk that people are pitching and selling and trying to deliver don't always meet those objectives. And sometimes it's not missed by this much, sometimes it's missed by this much. All right, gang. Want to just make sure we haven't missed any questions. There we go. Okay. So, by the way, gang, what I'd love to do is this. Here's what I'd love to do, and because I want you to be thinking about this, I'm going to bring a guest online here momentarily, which is a dear friend of mine. She is, well, number 1, she's just smart as hell. Number 2, she works like mad. Number 3, she has been involved in the Launch Your Mastermind 90-day bootcamp since virtually the very beginning. And I want to introduce you to her momentarily. Now, as we're going through this, we're going to be talking about promise. We're going to be talking about all those things. I would love for any of you who are in the process of just beginning to play with your mastermind, if you have a promise for a mastermind, I'd love for you to share it in the chat window so that we can begin to get some feedback about it, so you can begin to think about applying the other things that we are going to teach you through this process. So on that note, let us bring on my dear friend, Robin. And I am really looking forward to seeing you here, my dear. And yay, technology works. How are you, Robin?
Hi, Jay. I'm great. Thanks. How are you?
I am absolutely fantastic. This is Robin, and Robin is a brilliant woman who has been in our lead program, in our Launch Your Mastermind 90-day bootcamp. You've been in at least, I think, 2 of our Mastermind to Millions lives, yes?
Yes.
Something like that?
All of them.
All of them. Okay, so 3. And you can see her URL just underneath her name on the screen there, which is themusicteacherscoach.com. And Robin, I asked you to come share with us a couple of things today. And you know, I know you just had an epic win of finishing a retreat that led into a mastermind. And I'm wondering if you could just talk to us a little bit, first and foremost, about the promise and the positioning of the retreat in the mastermind. Because, I mean, you just knocked this out of the park.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a pretty amazing experience for me. So the thing about it is that I'm super targeted. I'm hyper targeted, as you might say, as to the people I'm working with. And so just to give a brief background, I'm a Simply Music piano teacher. It was a method developed in Australia where you play first and read later. So anyone who's a Simply Music teacher goes through a very specific teacher training program and a licensing before they can teach. And there are about 700 teachers around the world.
Cool.
So I've been teaching since 2003, and in 2008, maybe I went to work for the company as their director of development. And I did a lot of the teacher training and I did teacher coaching. So I have an experience and an expertise with this particular group of teachers. And that is kind of where I've stuck. I've wanted to expand and I will expand, but right now I'm very targeted with these teachers. I did a retreat last year in Seattle, and then I did a retreat in Australia, and I didn't offer my mastermind at either of those events. I don't think I was quite ready, and I had some limiting beliefs about what they would respond to. But this year I decided I was going to go ahead and do a retreat that led to a mastermind. And to be clear, I did your boot camp 2 years ago. Finished up in July 2 years ago, launched my first mastermind group with Simply Music teachers in October. Then I launched a second group last summer, and now this retreat. So at the retreat, the retreat's purpose was to support Simply Music teachers in becoming a teacher of excellence. And I did a lot of, I had 3 guest speakers, and we focused a lot on curriculum, but we also focused a lot on mindset and excellence, I guess, is to make it really brief. It was a long conference, so there were a lot of things that we did. But the promise of the mastermind is really to really hone your mindset, your organization, your use of time, your use of being what I call a requirement-based teacher. Instead of just asking students to do things, you actually have requirements. So so you get compliance. You get people who get on board with you, and they're coachable as a piano student. So my promise to my mastermind is to work on all of those things, and the outcome is you having more freedom, having more joy, having students who are very coachable, so that you actually make the money you want, serve the students you want, get outcomes you want for both you and your students.
That's brilliant.
So that was the promise. The retreat.
Can I just clarify something? Because I want people to catch this, because you did something really brilliant. And this is one of the things where sometimes masterminds go awry. And Robin, you're just a great example of this, is that you started with the sentence, I hyper-targeted, is that you actually created a promise for your mastermind that was dictated by the positioning of the people that you're serving. And honest to goodness, that is a ninja trick, that if you know the target you're serving and what it is that they want, need, and desire most, then you build the promise to the tribe, as opposed to, I have a promise, now let's find a tribe, which people do it backwards all the time. So anyway, I just want to hyper emphasize and point that out, because that's a little bit of brilliance. Now, can you share with us briefly what the results of that beautiful lineup piece was or is? Yeah, and I'll just tell you really quickly, there were a lot of things I did leading up to the retreat. For instance, as soon as somebody bought a ticket, there was an incentive to buy early, and you were invited to a special breakfast with me and the creator of the program. So that was an incentive. But once people were in, I put them in a Facebook group. I included the guest speakers. So there was immediate connection as soon as they were in. And then 6 weeks before the retreat, I did an email sequence called the Retreat Ready Prep Course. And everybody who was coming to the retreat got content to preview and to review ahead of time. They were given a lot of information. They were invited to do some homework to be ready. So when they came to the retreat, I had a lot of communication with them. I was very available. They all had my phone number. They all could access me. And I reached out quite a bit to everyone in the group via Facebook. So they were very prepared to be in the room, which was a big deal. So that was one thing about it. And in the room, I taught about 17 hours out of the 3 days myself. And then there were guest speakers and some other things that we did. So I had a lot of time to spend with them before I made my offer. So there were about 15 pieces that I could actually lay out that I did ahead of time to get the result that I got. And when I did the mastermind offer, it was second day. Can I point out something, Robin?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because this is a really important component. And in previous live streams, I've spent a bunch of time teaching this distinction of building a relationship, creating influence, and moving to creating intimacy and moving to influence. And one of the pieces, and exactly what you just described, by the way, we're going to be inviting our viewers to participate in a very similar thing with us momentarily. But what I want you to understand for everyone else here is all of the steps that Robin did, which were brilliant. You don't need to get too attached to the steps, but you do need to understand this one piece, which is masterminds are sold when we have influence. People don't buy a mastermind because it was sold to them. They buy a mastermind because they love the person who's doing it. They have gotten intimate with them. They understand what's going on. They know that the people care about them. And it is from that space where there's influence, look, I want to be with you. You're brilliant. You do amazing work. I want that. So anyway, I want to just really point that out, is that all of those steps And, different steps for different purposes and different industries. But all those steps led to this piece that is unbelievably important, which is you created a relationship of influence with them where they trusted you and wanted to do work with you. And that's what everyone here needs to do when it comes time to really scaling and building Mastermind. Anyway, I just wanted to articulate that I didn't want people to go, it's like, oh my God, I got to do 15 steps. No, you just got to create influence, however that works.
Yeah, you do 15 steps when you want to do 15 steps. But the thing I really get is that it is a relationship. It's the beginning of a conversation. It's not a one-time, you think you're going to have influence after sending 2 emails and putting them in a Facebook group. That's not it at all. It takes a lot more. It takes a lot of dedication. But I really think that comes from your heart. Yes. If in your heart you care, then you want to do those things to serve and support people. The retreat was a place for me to really demonstrate to people, hey, and I even told the whole group, I love you. That's why I'm doing this. I care about each and every one of you. And I think they really got that. And so when I made my offer on Saturday afternoon, my goal was to have, there were 28 people in attendance that could be in the mastermind group. And I have a relationship with all of them. And of the 28, I had 11 apply to be in the mastermind group. So I was like, I had hoped for like 6. I would have been happy with 5. And I sold it out. And that was just, as I was driving home for about 2 hours, I kept kind of pinching myself going, did that really just happen? Mm-hmm. But I look at the environment that was created, the warmth that was created, the caring, the influence. I had a success panel at my event where people talked about what had happened to them as a result of the support they'd gotten in a mastermind with me. I even had people call in on Zoom from Australia and Canada. And so it was really awesome. I totally enjoyed it. And I'm so excited about this new group because I've been able to witness up close and personal the results that people have gotten from being in the mastermind and being in that committed group of people who are both willing to give and receive support from each other. It's amazing. It's just really remarkable.
I so love that. Well, I just have to tell you, I could not be more pleased for you. And I'm just so proud of your contribution, your effort. You are a woman who always gets things done and watches and models what worked. And I just am thrilled for you. So can I ask you one last question before I cut you loose to get back to your life and loves and all of those things?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a bunch of people on the line. And I'm about to invite people to come hang out with us at Mastermind Millions Live in Phoenix. And I fervently believe that being in the environment of people creating masterminds, being in that space of what I'm going to call creation, having people that you can model. It's like, I know it's doable because Robin just did it. I know it's doable because Bob just did it. So if somebody is thinking about adding a mastermind to their business model and thinking about attending Mastermind to Millions Live, what would your words of advice be?
Yeah, my words of advice would be get there. Last year, I referred to all of us as weirdos. And, in a way, it's true. I mean, we do things that other people around us don't have any real understanding of. They don't really, at least where I live, people don't really get me. They kind of look at me and go, wow, that's different. How did you ever come up with that? But to be in an environment where everybody's thinking about doing or is doing already what you want to be doing or what you've started doing, it's really remarkable just to be able to sit at a table with 7 other people and everybody's thinking the same thing. I want to have a mastermind, or I'm starting to run a mastermind. And Jay, you deliver so much content there. I mean, that is always a comment that I hear when I'm there is, wow, look at all this content. A lot of times you go to a retreat or a conference and you get this much content and you get that much fluff. But with Jay, it's really a ton of solid content where you feel supported with the content. And then there are people around you that you can talk to it about, chat about it with, which is pretty awesome. So I love going to Mastermind Millions. I'll be there again this year. It's really, Jay's brilliant. And all of his teaching is awesome. And just the whole feeling of like, hey, I fit in with all these people. They kind of get me. That's pretty fun.
Well, and we do attract a really unique tribe. I think there's that Dr. Seuss meme is like, when you love somebody, it's like when you meet somebody just as weird as you are and your weirdness complements or matches their weirdness, we just call that love.
Yeah.
I always love that quote.
There you go.
So that's fabulous. I'm glad that you're going to be there again.
Get there.
And you know, we do have a cool group of people. So from all over the world, U.S. senators, gold medal Olympic athletes, New York Times best-selling list authors, lots of entrepreneurs that are quietly just knocking it out of the park in their own world, in their own niche, and niches you've never even heard of, you know, like Robin. So I just want to thank you for, number one, your ongoing participation in our community, your willingness to jump on and share your perspective and your win. And honest to goodness, 11 people in your mastermind out of a retreat that in and of itself was a fabulous contribution. You got to be proud of yourself, and I am thrilled and proud of you. So gang, if you want to find out more about Robin and her masterminds and all those pieces, you go check out themusicteacherscoach.com and right at the URL. Or even better yet, you just come to Mastermind Millionaire Live, which I'm going to invite you to momentarily, and you hang out with her and you buy her a glass of wine, because I know that she'll spill the 15 steps for a glass of wine.
Yes, I certainly will. Yes, I will. That sounds like fun.
All right. Thank you so much, Robin. I appreciate you as always. Bye-bye.
You're welcome, Jay. Great to see you. Thanks, everybody.
All right. So on that note, gang, you can see on your page, just to the right of the video, that there is a new button there. And that new button says, click here to register. And what that means is I want you to click here to register, and that is going to take you to our registration page. Now, I want to, you know, before you get too carried away with that, I want to just say a couple of things to you. I have a stunning invitation for you. And I don't mean a little bit stunning. I mean like off the chart stunning. Like it's a little bit on the crazy / weird side of what I'm about to invite you to. So first and foremost, let me tell you a little bit about Mastermind Millionaire Live. It is a 3-day intensive. And that 3-day intensive runs September 15th, 16th, and 17th. We are in Phoenix. And in those 3 days, you are going to get the experiential, practical application of many of the things I'm teaching you here. Like, for example, you will work through live and in person what we call your PPSP. Then you're going to take that next step, which is develop your filtering script. So when we hear consistently from our attendees that this is one of the highest content, or not one of the, it is the highest content trainings that they have ever attended, it's because I've been a trainer and educator for 30 years. That's what my goal is to serve and support you to get this up and running quickly. And here's the honest God truth. We can cover in 3 days, in terms of your momentum, in terms of your commitment, in terms of your clarity, in terms of your capacity to go and actually address your tribe. We can cover more in 3 days than we can with you at home doing the Launch Your Mastermind 90-Day Bootcamp, which, by the way, is the world's greatest program on this. Just that most people can't sustain their focus and energy on it. They get distracted. You know, they're online, you know, doing their stuff, and all of a sudden they think they need to, you know, check Facebook. And then moments later, they're listening to cats singing. And then the mastermind doesn't really happen. But if I can get you together with another couple of hundred people dedicated to serving their tribe, and you get to actually be carried and lifted by that energy, you get to borrow the clarity of other people and integrate it into your mastermind offer, what happens is this: you leave ready to roll. And I have a multitude of examples of people who literally came to those 3 days and had clients during the 3 days. My friend Shadid, I could go on and on, but I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about you making a decision to lead and run your mastermind group. So here's the thing. If you click the Register Now button, it is going to take you to a page. And that page says at the top of it, join me at Mastermind Millionaire Live in Phoenix, Arizona, September 15th. Now, here's the thing. This is pretty funky. Number one, you are going to get a complimentary ticket to attend the event. Now, we charge $997 for this. We have had, over the last couple of years, somewhere in the neighborhood of 550, 600 people attend Mastermind Millionaire Live. Many of them paid $997. However, through this live stream invitation, you're going to get a complimentary ticket. Now, here's where this gets exciting. For the first 100 people, and actually if we could bring that slide up, that'd be really fantastic, or that offer that's on the page there, that'd be fantastic. The first 100 people are going to get this unbelievably wicked bonus. And let's just put the whole thing up so that people can see it because the text is so small. Number two, you are going to get something called the Mastermind Essentials online training program. And what the Mastermind Essentials online training program is the 6 pillars of masterminds that work, and it gets you an assessment of where you are at with them. And I'll just tell you what the 6 are. all of the training at the live event is going to be about these 6. It is first and foremost perfect positioning. You get your positioning right, the rest is easy. The next, after perfect positioning, is personal evolution, which is being the leader that your tribe wants to follow. The next is fill your mastermind with ease. Now, these first 3 modules are all about what it takes to get a mastermind up and running. Now, getting it up and running, honest to God, for most people is the easy part. Keeping it running is the more challenging part. So, module 4 is commitment. This is how to get it, how to set it, how to reset it. Then there's facilitating skills, number 5. And by the way, any of you who already have professional facilitator training experience, I'd love for you to make a little comment in the chat window, because that's an important component. That's module 5, and then module 6 is creating compelling content. How to create little experiential activity, I'm going to call it, sometimes I call them activity bombs, because it's like, poof, moves us forward. And those 6 pillars are the elements of the Mastermind Essentials training, and you'll be able to assess yourself, your strength, your challenges, and where you absolutely need some work. And we'll do that on that weekend. In addition to that, you get the Mastermind Roadmap 30-Day Challenge. Now, Robin just very articulately said, I gave them a bunch of a bunch of activities to do. I got them ready so that when they hit the event, they were there ready to roll. Now, that idea came from this process, I'm willing to bet. You can ask her when we're at Mastermind to Millions Live. Is the 30-day program is approximately an email a day, a little activity a day. The Mastermind Mentors Manual that I talked about that structures a 1-year mastermind, you get that Mastermind Mentors Manual. You get the Fill Your Mastermind with Ease Manual. You get resources, actions, and tools that will have you hit the ground running when you are at the event. Now, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but sometimes if you go to an event, people's bodies arrive at the start time of the event, but their brains and the rest of their being doesn't arrive till middle of the afternoon. What we do here changes that. Now, here's the next piece that helps with that change is you also get to come to a mastermind experience the day before the event. So on Thursday afternoon, you come to a live what we call the Mastermind Roadmap. And that Mastermind Roadmap is where you will get an experience of being in a little mini mastermind, where you get to bring your most significant goals or your most significant issues to get the input of a group of other people who are building the same darn thing. And you get to clarify and put your focus and energy on what is the highest leverage for you to get your mastermind up and running. Please hear this. On that weekend. Now, if you look at all of this, is that is a value of almost $3,500. By the way, I think at $3,500, it is ridiculously underpriced. Because if you do one of these well, you could be like Robin. And in a short invitation, conversation about a mastermind, you could make 10 times that price. 10 times. Hell, you could make 100 times that price depending on how you choose to price your mastermind and who you're serving. So here's the thing. This is the crazy part. I will give you that entire experience for free. Seriously, for free. Now, I got to tell you, first and foremost, when I did this the very first time, my business partner, Joshua, my dear friend, Suzanne, we were having this debate, and it's like, that's crazy. We can't do this. It's going to attract a whole bunch of flake. And Suzanne, I know you're not a flake, let's be clear. It's going to attract a whole bunch of flake. People who aren't going to actually see the thing through. And he said, just do it. Make it easy for people to win. Make it easy for people to understand the quality of the training, because there's nothing like it on the planet. Just let them get engaged and understand so that they know how great this is, and let it just happen. So I said, we can't do that for everyone. They'll be crazy. Then just do it for 100 people. So that's what we're going to do for 100 people. You click the button to the right of the screen. You get to that registration page, and you fill in your credit card. You get yourself registered. And for $197, because this is what we call a no-flake registration fee. What that means is you give the $197 down. It says you are in good standing. You are intending to come. You are going to do the work ahead of time. You are going to show up, and we are going to serve you to get your mastermind up and running. That $197, when you get there, we will give back to you at registration. And I want to be clear about this. If you've ever seen one of those, like where people's like, okay, we're not going to give back to you right now, but we'll give back to you for. We don't do that bullshit. That's just ridiculous. You get your name tag, we give you your check. Done, square, easy. And you can trust that we will do exactly that. So let us serve and support you to create what is most meaningful. Because here's what I know. When you create value, everything else takes care of itself. And it does. Now, one other piece I got to tell you about. If you want to upgrade your experience and you want to go VIP, which, by the way, if you want to go VIP, that is $397 in terms of our early bird. But when you register for the event, you are going to get a one-time offer. It is the only time that ever happens for you to upgrade to VIP for only $100 extra. So that would have you in at $297. There is no refundable point or no refundable portion on a VIP. It's $297, which is wicked. And what will transpire there is you get invited. Oh, not invited. You get to attend, obviously, the VIP reception the night before. Some of our key sponsors, some of our key speakers, and you get to sort of mingle with the people who are moving and shaking and already doing it. In addition to that, you get fed Friday, Saturday, Sunday for lunch. Just to put this in perspective, the VIP with the wine, the cheese, all the rest of it, the 3 lunches that we feed you all the way throughout, the little bonus goodie package that you get at the door, all of those things, quite frankly, cost more than $297. So it's just one of those things where it's like just wicked value. It puts you in the group of movers and shakers, and we get a couple of extra special bonus speakers who come and create and contribute high-level content to the VIP. So anyway, gang, I just need to say this as clearly as I can. If a mastermind is remotely interesting to you, this is the world's best training, support, and experience that exists. So click the button, register for your complimentary ticket, know that we will take great care of you, and please hear this, you will get instant access to Mastermind Essential. So you got something to start working with immediately. You will get the 30-day roadmap challenge. So that will start basically 30 days ahead, so it sets you up right all the way through to hitting the ground running, and you'll get to experience the mastermind at the event. Now, I don't think there's anything more to say about that at this moment in time. Maybe we should just play the promo video so that people get a little sense of what that looks like and what that feels like. So if you can dig that up, I'll just say one other piece about this. And just let me know when you're ready. I know that people have difficulty wrapping their head around getting on a plane, renting a hotel, all the rest, which is why we're doing this whole piece for, look, just come and we'll do it complimentary. But I can tell you this, and I mean this in all seriousness. You could struggle and make errors and spin for days, weeks, months, years before your mastermind is up and running. Or you could hire the strategic support to get it done now. And what I'm offering you is the strategic support, is the tools, is the framework, is the manuals, is the how-to, is the exact roadmap. We'll show you all of that, the exact roadmap, how to do it at this event. So play the video and let's hear what other people have had to say about what it looks like and how it sounds.
Online or virtual training has its place in the whole mix, but doesn't ever take the place of live interaction.
Being able to sit there and structure and write down what I want my mastermind to look like.
What makes this event really unique is not only does Jay teach how to put on masterminds, but you get to experience what's it like in a mastermind setting.
It's been a combination of lecture, interactive activities, as well as enough breaks for us to network with other people in the community, as well as tabletop exercises where we can talk to our neighbor and change to another table. They've done a really excellent job of producing an event.
So Jay and Joshua is like the absolute dream team. They complement each other so well.
If I'm opening a new business line or a new area in the business, I'll always go and find the world expert in that particular area. I looked around and I found Jay was the world expert in Mastermind, so there's no better way than to learn from the best.
What I think distinguishes Jay is his attention to detail and the amount that he cares. When you ask something, he will address it, and he will address it until it is done and until you are satisfied with the answer.
How often he would pause, he would stop, he would help somebody, he would take a question from the audience, answer that person's question, and then broaden the lesson so it applied to me.
he opened up the chest and said, this is how I do this. These are my secrets. Go do this yourself. Just so generously, you just don't see that. People saying, here, I want you to be successful, so committed to our success at a high level that he gave us all his tools.
He is just so natural. He is just so good on stage.
This is who he is. This is who you see on and off the stage, and he really genuinely cares about me.
I love Jay's sense of humor. I love his quirkiness, his weirdness, and it trickles through the organization. Joshua is just like super amazing at marketing and lead generation.
He's also an amazing, incredible speaker as well, and his knowledge of the internet and how to leverage business systems and how to create different scalable models so you can have the lifestyle that you want.
They actually gave you what they promised to give you, which that's not been my experience at seminars before at all.
The energy in the room was amazing. It's evident that they're surrounded by people who are absolutely loving, committed.
The people that are here are kind of coming together to all support and nurture one another in their dreams and visions and even their bank accounts. So it's fantastic.
Jay framed it that we were here to find resources and to be resources to each other every break. It was constant conversations with other people.
People here care, they're mission driven, they're heart centered, they want to make a difference, and they're also really business focused as well.
The bottom line of all of it is love and standing for the best in people.
I had originally thought that it was going to be a really big deal to do a mastermind. I thought that it would take me a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of preparation. And the coolest takeaway I have is that I can do a beta mastermind with only 10 people and do that from a place of expertise.
Learning that masterminds could be super fun, like fun enough to go out and just have wine and have a party, make it fun.
I now have the blueprint, not just like a free opt-in, here's 6 steps you can do. I have the full manual of how to create a successful mastermind.
If you're looking to create a mastermind, there is seriously no one better in the world than Jay Fiset to support you in that goal.
Alrighty, gang, welcome back. So here's the thing. That event is truly and genuinely outstanding, and I would love to serve and support you there. Like, love, serve and support you. So take advantage of the offer. Make certain that you juggle your life, and by the way, just to be clear about this, call in whatever support is necessary. So get the mother-in-law to take care of the kids, take time off work, do whatever is necessary to move the mountains to get there, because that is exactly what's going to be necessary for you to take the position to lead your tribe. And one of the key messages that I want you to hear that we build a bunch of the weekend around is this, is that even if you're not perfectly clear about who your offer is for, that positioning piece, is it doesn't matter where you're at in your life. Your tribe is waiting. Your tribe is waiting. They are waiting for you to plant that flag. They're waiting for you to step up and be seen. They're waiting for somebody who has an experience and a past like yours and a vision of what it is that you want to contribute. The key is making certain that you, number one, are ready to step into that process and that you have a structure that has your back and a safety net when things go awry. And that's what we will deliver. So at this stage of the game, we always answer questions. And there's been a couple of questions that we've talked around. And a couple of more that I want to just address. So just know that if you have any specific questions about masterminds, all the rest of it, and the mechanical things, gang, I'm going to let Rob and the team take care of. What do I absolutely need to know about my mastermind vision before I show up in Phoenix? So Lynn, that's a cool question. You know what? Instead of trying to answer that right now, because it's a bigger question, what we would love for you to have done is we'd like you to have the rough version of your PPSP, positioning, promise, positioning, structure, and pricing. And that doesn't need to be like refined perfectly. But if you can come with that basically outlined, that lays the foundation for us to do what the next step is, which is called the filtering script. And the filtering script is a way for us to begin to talk about that mastermind in a way where we truly hold the position of what we call gatekeeper. Because ironically, one of the biggest errors in the universe is people try to sell mastermind. And the reality is that that psychology is a little bit off. We don't sell masterminds. We are, as a mastermind leader, we are a gatekeeper to a powerful, amazing, intimate, astounding group of people. And people cannot get through the gatekeeper in any way other than to qualify through match and contribution. So they can't bribe their way in, they can't kiss butt their way in, they can't pay their way in, they have to qualify to get in. So what we do is this. Come with the basics of PPSP, and by the way, we're going to give you a whole bunch of other tools and resources in the 30 days. So it's 30 days of steps that I can't go into right this detail. But you come with those 30 days done, and you are going to be clearer than I'm going to say many people are actually even already running Mastermind. And we'll have the foundation of PPSP done. Let us then help you take the next transition through the conversation and the attraction and the qualification of the right people. I hope that answers that question. A great one, by the way. Yes, the maturity model of approaches as one gains not only the experience, but the credibility. Or is it a one-size-fits-all concept, recognizing the need to customize? So, Sylvia, this is a really good question, and I'm not exactly certain what you mean by maturity model of approaches, but I want you to have this perspective, is that there is absolutely no one-size-fits-all. There is great capacity and ability to adapt this process for who you are serving and what the promise is. And if you look at even the models that I've shared thus far, is that you can see that the model is a theme. It is not a cookie cutter. So, and this is a very important point, is that a cookie cutter is going to end up with a bunch of same old copy and paste pieces. But we ask you to do the work. We ask you to do the research. We ask you to be the leader of a community that is unique to you. This whole idea of your tribe is waiting, that isn't just any tribe, it's your tribe. Why are you uniquely qualified to lead that group? Why would people be interested in engaging with you and your community? Who in what experience is in there that is like, good Lord, I've got to carve a section of my already busy life aside because this is one of my highest leverage activities. So, in my humble opinion, the model evolves in proportion to your promise and your positioning. And we have to keep our eye on that always. So yes, it is anything but cookie cutter, but great question, and I do truly appreciate that question. Let me just see what else we have for questions. Perfect. You know what? Here's a very specific question about, and I've got some coming in via Facebook here as well. So I don't know if we're Facebook living or that's just people who are also from my Mastermind to Millions community, which might be. So the big question of, is it a pitch fest? So please understand this, is that we are going to train, we are going to serve, we are going to support, you're going to be doing experiential activities, you're going to learn how to facilitate hot seats. You are going to be engaged, and your learning will be, frankly, off the chart. And we will absolutely have invitations for you that fit the 6 pillars of masterminds that work. So I'll give you a great example. So this idea of perfect position. One of our guest speakers is a gentleman named Jesse Krieger, and he runs a publishing company. He helps people to write books. Now, here's one of the greatest things. If you already have a book and you're an author, or you're working on a book, goodness gracious, that is some of the best positioning in the entire universe for a mastermind. Because quite literally, people, I was having the conversation with Robin about relationship, intimacy, influence. Books are one of the most intimate things in the universe. Books get taken to the bathroom. Books get taken to the bedroom. Books are read on planes. Books are just one of the ways in which we actually sort of step into somebody's life. And if you write a great book that helps serve and support somebody to evolve their life, if you do that, running a mastermind is generally a slam dunk. So, for example, Jesse Krieger will be there. He's going to be sharing a ton of information about what it means to write a book, how to position a book, all of those pieces, because it helps us get our masterminds up and running. Now, I don't even think Jesse actually has an offer or an invitation for you. He's there to serve and support. So this is no pitch fest. There will be invitations for tools that make a difference. If you want to take up a couple of them, and by the way, I carry almost all of the content. I think I have three additional speakers. I carry almost all of the content, and I am there to serve and support you. So I hope that answers that question, is that this will be more training than you will receive anywhere else under the sun in this time frame. And you'll leave inspired and sometimes a little overwhelmed by how much content that we deliver. So I hope that answers that question. All right. Where are we at timing-wise? I've got to get myself checked in here. And let me just double check that I haven't missed any questions before I move on. Okay, a bunch of questions about the Launch Your Mastermind 90-Day Bootcamp. So let me just address this. So the Launch Your Mastermind 90-Day Bootcamp is an online training program that you can actually purchase at any point in time. And what occurs is that I do live coaching calls with that probably twice a year. And one of the things, because we want you to win, one of the things is when you purchase the bootcamp, and by the way, that gets you all of the contract. It gets you in-depth activities on the 6 pillars. It gets you in-depth activities for your positioning. It is frankly stunning. If there's a flaw in the 90-day bootcamp, is that it's actually not one program, it's 3. And I guess that's just one of the outcomes of 25 years of experience doing this. And what transpires is if you do the bootcamp, you will get all of those all the access and resources and all of those pieces, but it is not a prerequisite. So, you know, I was just looking at that video there. Nikki Elridge Brown, she didn't actually do the bootcamp. She just came to Mastermind Millionaire Live. She had worked through PPSP. We did the filtering script. I helped her do a little bit of her positioning, and she knocked it out of the park and filled a mastermind in about 48 hours. 48 hours. So depending on where you're at, which is why we don't make it a prerequisite. So we have some people who do the boot camp, come to the live event because it's sort of the experiential version of the event. We have some people who come to the live event and buy the boot camp because they want all of the resources. They don't have to recreate the applications, the contract, the legal. They get all of the support, all of those pieces. And we have some people who do the live event and just wander off and do their own mastermind. So we want to meet you where you're at, and only you can sort of determine that. And if you want, you know, some guidance in where you should be and what you should do and how you should go about it, you can just reach out to Rob. Rob is, you know, combination COO and client care wizard, and he would absolutely happily steer you to what is best for you, because that's what we want for you, is what's best for you. All right, we need to get moving. And I want to talk about a very specific mastermind model that I promised my Launch Your Mastermind 90-Day Bootcamp folks that I would address, because it is a little bit intriguing. And by the way, I've been sitting like way too long, so we are going to move over to the easel momentarily. I just want to make sure I haven't missed this. I'm excited. Be great. All good. Jackie's ready when I am. All right, and we have a guest, so I'm going to hustle through this. And by the way, trying to figure out how to do a practical joke on my dear friend Jackie. She probably can't be watching this at the same time, but we'll figure that out afterwards. She has a great sense of humor. Okay, we're going to the easel. Okay, so I want to talk about event masterminds. So there's a whole variety of ways for this to occur. And just so that you know, in terms of me checking monitors, those sorts of things, as I might be looking over here occasionally, that's just to make sure that I'm still addressing what you need to address and all of those pieces. So event-based masterminds. And here's the reason why people were asking about the event-based mastermind. Oh, this one here. I am a raving fan of long-term masterminds. And when I say a raving fan of long-term masterminds, I love the 1-year process. And here's the reason why, is that for most of us, it takes us about 90 days to sort of unpack the problem, know what's going on, deal with whatever's happening. Once we unpack the problem, then we sort of get ourselves to work at it. And as we get ourselves to work at it, it's like, it's always a little tougher, it's always a little more complicated, it's always a little more complex. And that usually, you know, takes us somewhere in the neighborhood of, let's call it 6 months, something like that. And then there's sort of the ending process where we get to go, woohoo, we're knocking it out of the park. Now, let's be clear about this. Knocking it out of the park means we're starting to really get some traction. In a bigger sense, I would ask you to consider this, is that, and this terrifies people, which is why we don't talk about it at the beginning. but when we're really trying to create a change in our businesses specifically, is that it's like 1 year to build a framework and a foundation. Second year, to actually work that framework and foundation and knock the rough edges off and figure out what our unique way is. And then third year is to scale whatever we were working on and go to the bank. So that's often a longer process in entrepreneurial area. But going back to this idea of event masterminds, is that sometimes when we're talking to our mastermind potentials, it's like, oh man, I just can't tackle a 12-month commitment. I just can't see myself through that process. Which is usually, by the way, some feedback about the quality of your relationship, where you're at in terms of the intimacy and the amount of influence you have. But here's a beautiful way to do 3 things: increase all of those, make some money in terms of your investment, and get a better way to be a gatekeeper by understanding who's doing what. So, and that's called an event mastermind. Now, an event mastermind is simply like this, and I'm going to give you an example. JVology Summit. Now, this is an event mastermind that I run, and I'll just give you the details for it, and we'll just spell it out. Is that this is a mastermind that has a very specific focus, and the very specific focus is joint ventures. Is that the mastermind is aimed at people who want to scale their business using joint ventures. Now, it has a very limited audience. I only put 30 people in it at a time. That's it, just 30 people. So you can tell from just 30 people is that there is a significant selection process. This is not open to the public. And for the longest time, by the way, when I ran this particular event, I didn't even have a web page because I didn't want one. It was like, look, if you're interested in this, you need to have a conversation with me. If that conversation goes well, I'll send you an application where you're going to, give me all the details about your business and where you're at and who you really are and what's going on. Only through that could you even begin to get an invitation. Okay, so there's a significant selection piece. There is, in this case, almost no content. So for this particular example, and I'll be really straight with you. By the way, if you want to, let me just put this up here. No, not with that one. If you want to, and don't go here now, by the way. If you want to see the site that I have created for this, that will give you a better description of what the actual event is, you can go visit that. There's no content to speak of. All we do is we have this. Each member has 3 presentations. So presentation number 1 is a mastermind. They're going to bring a goal or an issue that they want some service and support with in terms of their business. And obviously it's going to be related to joint venture, shock of all shocks. Then they get an invitation. This is where they might have a project that they want to invite people to participate in. It's like, hey, I've got a live event coming up, and I'd love for you to be my joint venture partner in the process. And then the third part is this. A gift of generosity. A gift of generosity, where everyone who attends gives everyone else a significant gift. And by the way, we've had people do amazing things, like a full day in a television studio. We've had people do $10,000 speaking programs. Like, these are not like, hey, here's my wicked little ebook that you should buy. I'm talking about people leave this event with tangible, actionable gifts, often worth like $75,000 plus, $75,000. Now, that's a good example of an event-based mastermind. Now, in this particular event, it is only 2.5 days. We want people to get in and to get out. It retails $49.97. And we give people a little discount if they are repeat attendees, which, by the way, when you do this really well, you end up with a bunch of repeat attendees. So this is an example of an event mastermind. Now, here's what's beautiful about this, is that the event mastermind, number 1, it's pretty short and sweet. So if you can do, sort of quick math, is that you can see that the front end of this particular mastermind ranges somewhere between depending on who and when and where and why and how they purchased, but it's somewhere between $75,000 and $300,000 in terms of what the income is. But I am also looking for people who fit my other event. I'm looking for people who could speak at my events. I'm looking for people who want to participate in my 7-figure business blueprint. This fit perfectly for longer-term mastermind. So if you want a faster in that doesn't have the huge commitment that people are just like, oh, I can't do that for 12 months, and you want to see how people show up, you want to vet the people that you want the deeper, longer-term relationship with, and you want to significantly increase your influence, you might consider an event-based mastermind. Now, this is just one example. I could give you a multitude of examples, but think of it from this perspective. Generally speaking, small group, very targeted objective, decent amount of money in, and a structure that helps connect people and get you moving forward with your core, or I don't know if we call it, your more premium offer. And if you have any questions about this, I'm happy to answer more about it. And if you want to check out another fabulous event, and this is a mastermind that few people can do a mastermind well at larger than, let's call it 15 to 30 people. Jason Gaynard, who is going to be a guest on one of our future shows. Jason Gaynard runs something called Mastermind Talk. I'm honored to be a part of his community, and he pulls this off in a stunning way with 150 entrepreneurs. Does it one time a year. That's the only primary event that he does. Price point is significantly higher than this, and he has a waiting list. At last conversation, this is how well he does this. At last conversation, this whole application and selection process, over 14,000 applications of people who have not been let in to attend one of the events. So think about the difference that would make in your business. Monumental. All right, gang, if you got questions about this, we'll come back to it. If you want to visit what that site looks like, just so you get a sense of it, don't do it now, not while we're in the show, but you can also just jot down jvlgsummit.com, go visit it afterwards. And just to be clear about this, this is not an invitation for this. You'd have to go through an application process. That's how that goes. So let's get back to the table, and let us talk to my dear friend and fellow crazy Canadian, Jackie. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about Jackie, and then we're going to get her on the line here, because I know that she's actually in the middle of doing a series of masterminds and meetups and a bunch of things with her speaking business. So first and foremost, Jackie has a wicked sense of humor. We have a ton of fun hassling one another. In addition to that, in terms of hassling her, you know that JVology Summit thing I just wrote? I bugged her about doing that, oh goodness, for probably the better part of 4 years, and to each invitation up until the last one, she politely told me to take a flying leap. But we finally got her out there. I have finally got her engaged, and she was at Mastermind Millionaire Live the last time, and she's been building fabulous masterminds. And I wanted to invite her here to just ask her about some of the unique ways that she's been utilizing Mastermind. So let us bring Jackie along and say hello. Hey, my dear, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Can you hear me fine?
Got you perfectly. I saw your morning picture for your run. So you're running on the beach in California, living the life?
Yeah. I'm sitting right over there is the ocean, right over there is the pool.
Nice.
And inside of there is a teenager. So I thought, where's the quietest place to be? With the teenager playing a game or the entire rest of the universe? So I chose out here.
It's all good. Oh, and by the way, we already have like about 17 comments on the chat window, and they all say your hair looks great.
Thank you. Beachy waves. It's all like California curls here. Thank you.
And Mike Finch is giggling his ass off. There are so many things I could ask you and tease you and give you a hard time about, but I'll tell you the thing that I am most interested in. Well, actually, there's 3 things I'm most interested in. The top of the list is this. You have been doing an interesting version of masterminding in your speakers community that has been kind of exploding and creating amazing results. Could you tell the crew, and just before you do this, and this kind of addresses one of the questions we had earlier, is this a one-size-fits-all? And the answer to that question is no, because we can adapt it in a bunch of different ways. And I loved your unique adaptation. So if you could share a little bit about that, I would just really deeply appreciate that.
Yeah, sure. So I run, as you know, I run a couple of signature events, and they're 3 days long. And I was thinking about going around and doing some tours and maybe doing some workshops to talk about how to get or benefits of coming to this event. And then I remembered back to, a few years back, I used to run this thing called the Success Club in Calgary. And it was essentially a mastermind, but on a very, I would say, it didn't have the level of intimacy that you talk about in your masterminds, because we had so many, sorry, your guy is like texting me. We had a lot of different people coming and going, so there wasn't a continuous amount of intimacy within the groups. Although they were really great, we had these clarity circles, people loved them, and I was thinking about them as I went around to, maybe introduce the fact that I'm doing a speakers retreat. And essentially what happened is I started to build these public speakers clubs, utilizing a lot of different skills that I'd learned over the years, and a lot of what you had been talking about with that whole mastermind concept. So I'm integrating speaking opportunities with masterminds, and it's evolving quite a bit where, people come together and we still have that, you're meeting people for the first time, you're getting to know them, but we're moving into new directions with this, meaning we have leaders of the club. So there's been people throughout this process applying to be leaders, and I'm creating masterminds within that community as well. So this, the leadership team or the leadership community, people who are actually going to step up and run the clubs when I'm not there, they're going to have a mastermind. And I think that's really important because they need to see what's working in their communities, share those ideas, and still have some touch points with, the overall brand and what we're doing. We also have the mastermind component in the groups with the members. So now it's sort of a membership-based model where people can get to know each other, come brainstorm, talk, share. And so I think it's been really interesting. The whole process started off as one thing, but it actually is turning into being a series of different tiered and different level masterminds, which has been awesome. And I love it.
Perfect. So tell me a little bit about the mastermind, sort of like what we call the wine conversations in cash. I'm going to teach them a little bit about the WCCs after our interview here. And I know that you did an interesting version of that actually led to this speakers group mastermind cool combination. And once you do that, I have a couple of other questions. But tell us about that, because I think you and I had a couple of glasses of wine where it was like, Fiset, those things work. Who the hell would have thought they work? And I think, me being me, it's like, I told you so.
It took me a bit because I have this tendency to want to do consulting and coaching, right? And so the mastermind concept was, as you know, a little bit challenging for me to really grasp onto. But just kind of stepping back and allowing people to talk and to share has been a really important part. So when I started these public speakers clubs, the whole concept is we're going to do something called speed speaking. We're going to do some clarity sessions. It's going to be awesome. And I'm going to tangent for a quick second here and tell you about the first speed speaking activity we did. So, when you're maybe when you're doing networking, speed networking or speed dating, and you have two sets of chairs lined up and they're facing each other, and then one group moves down while one person stays stationary. In my mind, I thought this was going to be a great idea to get people to do different components of their signature speech and then move on down the line. But I put way too many people in the room on the first event, and so I had maybe 50 people there, and it was chaos and loud, and they're like, I can't hear you, trying to sort this out. So I turned speed speaking into more of you're getting 1 minute, you get on stage, you get to talk in front of these people, and boom, let's go, right? And it was like the coolest, most interesting process that ever happened, because people were basically thrown under the bus by me. They had to get up there and say something. You're on stage and you're on stage now. And they loved it. And so we started shaping it as I started touring around, where it was like, here's maybe some concepts that you can use in your 1 minute time presentation in the speed speaking. And people started to connect more deeply than if they had an elevator pitch. Mm-hmm. They were getting up there, they were practicing a joke, a story, a little component about a tidbit about something about them. And we started to just listen to each other and connect, right? And so people were really just opening up in ways that I hadn't seen before. And it was that concept of asking them what they needed, what do they need to share, and they didn't have a lot of time to think about it, so it was really coming from the place of their heart. And everybody in the room was more than willing to just jump on and try to support each other. So what I've been seeing is, even from the very initial meeting with groups of strangers, listening to each other, asking for what they need, there's been people doing business with each other. There's been people booked on each other's stages. There's been tears. People just cry because they haven't even had the opportunity to speak before. I got goosebumps all over my entire body right now, but it has been literally magical. And it wasn't about creating masterminds. It was about creating a community, and the different levels of masterminds are starting to just build themselves, which I think is the craziest thing in the entire world.
Well, and I got to tell you, I am so thrilled and pleased and proud of that, because I know the wrestle that you had from the one-on-one coaching to the consulting. And making space for that. And I want to just say this to everybody at home who's listening. So for any of you who have this sort of view or concern that, the value is in what I have to say, the value is in me getting them to direct their energy. Yes, there's value there, but in all seriousness, and I know that you and I had this conversation, so I'll say it here, is that any of you who is attached to that process, I want you to read a book called Change or Die by Alan Deutschman, that speaks to the power of community. Because the truth of the matter is that when we're in coaching and consulting, often it's like throwing a penny at somebody, hits their forehead and falls off. But if we're in a community, we're doing that same sort of coaching and consulting in a community, and it hits our forehead and falls off, there's almost always somebody there who picks it up and says, hey, buddy, you dropped your penny. And it shifts the entire dynamic. So I just got to echo anyone who doesn't think that they can improve their coaching and consulting by embedding community. Full stop, you're wrong, and Jackie is living, breathing proof of it.
Yeah.
Cool.
By the way, I do sometimes throw pennies at people just for fun. And secondly, what you do really, if you want to get past that coaching consulting, throw people under the bus, just force them to get up on stage and say, okay, you're up, go. That's what I have found. And brilliant. It's a lot easier to prepare those kind of workshops as well.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I know that you have an event coming up that I'm told the speaker roster is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, we got what we can get, and we do the best we can with what we have. So
sometimes you have to down level and get a fellow Canadian. I understand how that goes. So tell us a little bit about your event coming up.
Yeah, what's really interesting is that we've been doing the Speakers Retreat for a while. It's called the Speakers Retreat. It's our signature 3-day event. And basically, this is an opportunity for people who are at various stages of their speaking business or who want to get into speaking to really come and to meet a lot of great people, like our keynotes, like you, Jay, who has been crushing it for a long time, like Jimbo and Suzanne Evans from Hell Yeah Studios, which is very an honor for me. But also, they get to do a lot of hands-on creating and training, and again, getting up on stage and speaking to the entire group. And we have our professional video team making videos for them. We have our photographers there. So there's a lot of tangible pieces, but really it keeps evolving. And what I've found and what I'm going to incorporate a lot more into this particular retreat is that 5-minute speech for them, even though they're on stage and talking to people, that's a huge benefit. But I want to give them a lot more opportunities to practice that, because people, they want to make something great. They want to utilize their opportunities in the best way that they can. So I'm really proud of the retreat. I love how it's coming along. I'm totally honored that you're going to come and share again, because I love what you're doing. We're good friends, and we give each other a lot of grief, but you're really out there doing a lot of wonderful things. And it's a great event. But I think the funniest part, Jay, is that these public speakers clubs were kind of meant to be, when you build these clubs and then you have like the overall conference for the clubs. Well, I feel like I've accidentally done this backwards. But it's really fitting together, and it's like stars and moons and everything is lining up. People are having a lot of opportunity. The one thing I know to be extremely true is that there's not enough stages for people and not enough speaking opportunities. So it's part of my mission to make sure that I'm building those stages for people and having those opportunities in place.
That's a monumental task And it's monumentally good work because we do need that exposure for people to share their mission and their vision, how they want to communicate with people. And if it's not already clear to you, gang, Robin's example, I could share a ton of examples. I know Jackie's done a similar thing as well. One of the best ways to get that relationship, that intimacy, and that influence to fill a mastermind is speaking from stage. So I love that. So my last piece is this. I think that I hounded you to attend the JVology Summit for about 4 years. I think I only hounded you for about a year to attend Mastermind to Millions Live. And I know that I know you. I believe you're coming to Mastermind to Millions Live, right? Yeah. So people at home wondering, is it really worth it? Should I really go? Is it as good as they say? I mean, after all, he's giving it to me for free. How freaking good could it be? I know you and your mom attended as VIPs last year. What would you say to somebody who's on the fence about attending the event?
For Mastermind to Millions?
Yeah.
I love all of the events. There's 3 of them that I go to now all the time. It's the JVology Live, the JVology Summit, and Mastermind to Millions. But for that one in particular, I mean, it's just a really, if you can actually get past the idea that we talked about today, that it's not about the coaching and consulting, and understand the value of masterminds and about that community building, I just don't think that there is a better event out there. When I went for the first time, I think Mastermind to Millions was actually the first one of your events that I went to.
It was.
I thought, yeah, oh my God, like, I get it. Masterminds can be difficult for people to comprehend. They really can, but I love the way that you broke it down. There is nothing but creative ways to use these, which is important to me. I'm not about cookie cutters or here's your magic formula. One thing I love about what you're doing is you give a lot of structure on how to do these well, how to fill them, but it really is, there's so much open space and so much support from you and your community on how that the people starting a mastermind can integrate them into their business and really succeed with them. So, I mean, go. The free events that you put on have been worth a lot of money to me, just if you want to talk dollars and cents, because you put people into that mindset, that community mindset.
Can you do that for me? Because I know lots of people don't like talking dollars and cents, but could you ballpark us? Because, and here's the thing I want people to know is that this is not that unusual, what you're, and I don't mean this in an arrogant way, but here's the truth. After 30 years of doing this, it's not my first rodeo. I know how to connect some of the dots, and often with people who have a great message, it's just tweaking the dial a couple of notches, and it generates significant results. So if you would be willing, I would be honored.
Oh, sure. So I went to Mastermind to Millions, and right from there, I'm sure I left with people coming to my events, which is, ticket price. I left with a sponsor. I was thinking about it after, and I probably left with $6,000 just from attending that first event, which I thought, yes, this is so good. JVology Live, again, you walk out of there, you're making all these connections. And what I like the most about this is I think live events are magical. I think that you go in there and we don't even do business. That's the funniest thing. Like I didn't even say you should buy my thing, you should do this. This is people saying, talking in these groups that you put together, and they naturally are interested in what you're saying, and they reach out. This was all pull. It was not push. Nobody was forcing their agendas on me. I wasn't trying to sell anything. But yeah, I mean, every one of these events has been worth at least $6,000-$7,000. Working in the JVology community with you, I've had, like you said, those tweaks, those little dial things that I've appreciated from you, which I could consistently do 5-figure events by myself. I could. I did 5-figure events. I was like, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I didn't do them. I mean, I wore myself out a lot, but just the shifts like that, another 0. I had my first 6-figure event, which was amazing. And you can't do things like that when you're working by yourself. You need that community to give you the tweaks. And I happen to think that the tweaks are more important than the big, lengthy scripts and blueprints and systems that people have. It's really the community, the tweaks, and the connections, and that's it.
Well put. So just so you know, and I will declare my intentions early because, and Jackie and I have known each other, I think, probably 5 years, something like that.
More than that, way more than that. Facebook
there's
said
some
7.
weird noise coming out of there, and I don't. Oh, just no, it's coming out of your headphones right here. If we can just make that go, like turn it off or down or something, that would be great. My misophonia was getting the best of me in terms of some other weird noise, and it's like, what is that? So I'll declare my intention clearly because I was giving you a hard time about each of these things as we're going along. But you, my dear, are in my sights for the 6-figure to the 7-figure leap. Because we're just actually a couple of dials away from that being a absolute cakewalk for you. So anyway, I'll just say it now, and I say it publicly so that it is recorded for the world to know. Because in about 6 months, we're going to be on one of these live streams, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to say, "I told you so."
I'm all right with that, Jay. I'm fine with that.
Good. So on that note, I just want to say, number one, super proud of you and the work that you do. I'm honored to be included in the live events and being able to serve and support your community and your tribe. And as you know, just anything that I can do to serve and support you and that community, I'm in for. So I look forward to seeing you at Mastermind to Millions Live. Let's have an absolute blast as always and add a couple of twists of the dial, and we'll just keep adding zeros.
I'm all down with that, Jay.
Okay, so I just got to let people know, by the way, if you want to find out more about Jackie, find out more about her events, find out more about her speaker training throughout the entire interview, at the bottom you've seen her website, which is purepotentials.com. So go check out Pure Potentials. And of course, when you're at Mastermind to Millions Live, grab her, bend her ear. She is brilliant and creative at this idea of speaking, speaker training, and speaking that actually creates results, without all the weird, hooky, manipulative BS. One last thing I want to say to you. Is this, or you said something that I actually had never I had never connected the dots until you just said, and it's like, of course that's it. In a moment, I'm going to actually show you guys a different video from one of the other Mastermind to Millions live events. And the feedback that we keep getting time and time again is like, this is different. This isn't like all the other ones. Like, and people have a tough time putting their finger on it. But I've had at least, it's got to be over the last couple of years, it's got to be at least 15 people come and say to me, it's like, I don't know what you do differently, because there's some similarity, but everything feels different here. And if you can teach me how to do that, I want to know. But I think you just hit the nail on the head, is that it is because the event itself is an invitation, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, contribution-wise, all sorts of things. It's not a push. We don't push. It's inconsistent with what our view of the stand of masterminds is. It's this invitation. I think in that whole piece of people being naturally attracted because there's an openness for authenticity, I think that's what's different. You just helped me nail it, because I didn't have words for it up to that moment.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad. That's how I definitely felt anyway, so I loved it.
Cool. Thank you, my dear. Go back to having fun in California. I'll just be jealous quietly working in the studio.
All right, I will. Thanks, Jay.
Take care, Jackie. Good to see you again.
Okay, you too.
Bye-bye. All right, gang. And by the way, well, I guess we shouldn't record that. It's like, at Mastermind to Millions, we'll have a ton of fun, and there are some practical jokes that fly back and forth. So come and play with us. It'll be cool. Where are we at? We are almost at the top of the hour again. Where the hell does time go? It goes so fast. And Jeanette is here. Okay, so I'm going to we're going to handle a couple of mechanics, gang, if you just bear with us for a moment. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our offer. I want to make sure they understand about the first 100 people, because I know that the orders have been flying in, which is fantastic. For those of you who've been getting yourself registered and all of those fun, wonderful things, I'm just going to look at the top couple. Catherine, I guess that's Kat. Welcome. That's fantastic. Jack, that's amazing. Good to see you. Jim, look forward to serving and supporting you there. Escondido, you're going to be pretty darn close. Absolutely. Rob, thank you. Okay, so short version, if people are getting themselves registered, I'm going to strongly suggest that you get yourself registered as well. And I want to take a moment or two just to talk about the stories that keep us stuck. Because here's the honest goodness truth. If you're watching this live stream, you want a mastermind. It's as simple as that. And if you want a mastermind, you've got to ask yourself, what is the wisest, fastest method and process to get my mastermind from idea into action? And the answer to that question is getting support from organization that has a little experience with it that can give you all of the turnkey processes for structure, for timing, for all of those pieces. That's what you need. So let me rephrase and recap and restate what our invitation is to you, because we have this absolutely astounding invitation for you to come and participate and play with us at Mastermind to Millions Live and to get a ton of instant and immediate support now. So here's how this goes. Top of the list is this. When you click the Register Now button, so it's just to the right of my little screen, you're going to be taken to a screen that describes this. But top of the list is this. You get a complimentary ticket to Mastermind to Millions Live. Now, this is a $997 event. At that price point, I believe it's undervalued and underpriced. So you're going to get a ticket. In addition to that, you are going to get the instant support of Mastermind Essentials, which is an online training program. It has its own individual portal. You'll get to sign in. You'll get training and assessment on the 6 pillars of Masterminds at Work. Perfect positioning, personal evolution, fill your masterminds with ease, commitment, facilitating skills, and creating content. So you're going to get all of those things, and you're going to get them immediately. So you get to put your butt in gear as we talk. Now, that's number 1 in terms of the bonuses. Number 2 in terms of the bonuses is you also get this astounding process, which is called the Mastermind Roadmap 30-day process. Now, brother, can you actually pop up that little mastermind graphic or the adventure graphic? Because I know it's a little out of order than what I asked you to do it, but here's the part that I want people to understand and to get. Is that the Mastermind Roadmap is a 30-day process where we're going to send you a little email. You're going to get a little video. You're going to get a downloadable manual. You're going to get a little workbook. And that workbook, that process, including the workbooks, follow this path. Now, I know you can't see, and let's make that full screen even though it's really tiny. I know you can't see all of these pieces here, but what I want you to understand is that there is a very specific process. There is a very specific pathway. There is a very specific structure. There is a very specific order that when you follow it, we can guarantee you can slam dunk a mastermind. And if you're ever having trouble, if you're ever off track, all you have to do is to look at the roadmap. All you have to do is look at the adventure guide, and it's going to tell you in an instant, like, oh, this isn't quite right. I got to back up the bus. So this is not one of those things where, I just wanted to show them that there's actually a path. We have a pretty graphic. We know what's going on for you, even if you don't. That's what's going to happen in those 30 days. So when you arrive at the event, you know exactly what you need to focus on and what you need support with. So that is unbelievably important. And then this, to me, by the way, is worth the trip, full stop. Before the event, on the Thursday night before, we are going to do a mini mastermind meeting with myself, my mastermind mentors, my team, a bunch of the people who have done the courses before who can, sign the way, where we're going to do little mini hot seats and a little mini mastermind to get, number 1, the community built even before the event starts. Number 2, to get answers to some of the questions and the issues and the goals that you have. And number 3, to gain access to people who have been there, done that, and have the t-shirt and are willing to share it with you. So all of those pieces, if you put them all together, the bonus value is, like all the pieces together, is $3,488. Now, and again, I actually think if you look at these pieces, because all of these pieces we have sold for that amount and more. This is not that made up bullshit. It's like, you know what? It's worth $12.7 billion, but today you get it for 3 easy payments at $12. Okay, it's not bullshit made up stuff. These are real items in our business. These are the real prices that we have sold them for, not once, not twice, but in many cases, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And we are bundling it together with a irresistible, ridiculous, batshit crazy offer that says, look, for $197, you put it down that we will return to you. We're going to give you all of this support so that you can be and do what's important to you, which is to live your mission, to contribute your contribution, to lead your unique tribe. Because damn it, it's time. And here's the thing. I didn't talk about this, and I often do, which is we're at the golden age of mastermind. And what that means is, as technology keeps getting faster, better, more accessible, all of those pieces, the yearning for human connection, the yearning for actual experiences of support, the yearning for heart-to-heart, face-to-face, belly-to-belly engagement with another human being who's on the same page, that is continuing to grow and grow and grow and grow. So if we combine that with the technology where we can begin to reach our tribe from all over the world, where you can run masterminds online using Zoom, where you can access your tribe. Even if you're in the most rural area of the universe, you still can do that. We're at this golden age. And the question is, are you going to get yourself in the spot to serve your tribe in a meaningful way? Because here's the truth. The information age is dead. Seriously. It is ubiquitous. There is nothing in the universe that we can't learn, perhaps short of brain surgery, from Google. People are drowning in information. They are drowning in information. And they are starving for wisdom and support. So, if you get that, then you need to organize your life to take advantage of this ridiculous offer and put $197 down, activate your ticket. If you want to upgrade to VIP, we would love to serve you for VIP. And frankly, you're going to spend more on food than VIP anyway if you don't take advantage of it. And that gets you the VIP reception on the Thursday night. That gets you lunches all the way through. It gets you a bonus goodie bag that's absolutely rock star. It gets you access to a couple of high-level people who run masterminds who are going to do a little extra special Q&As and talk at the VIP event. At the VIP lunches. So it's well worth every penny. So click the button, get yourself registered, and commit to doing whatever is necessary. Go through the content, participate in the 30 days, get yourself to the pre-mastermind, and rock this event. It'll change your life and your world. So on that note, do me a favor, brother. Could you run that video? And you let me know when you're ready. And I want to just address, oh, we're ready. Okay, well, then we'll watch the video and I'll address that afterwards. Go ahead. Jinx. The joys of live broadcast. Go ahead.
My mind is exploding, but in such a good way, I can't even describe it.
Connections, learning new stuff, and also having a few epiphanies and moments of clarity. It's been really, really great.
My mind was completely blown by how much content they gave away. Every single day, I feel like my whole business is going to change as a result of this one event.
I'm excited about just getting started, period. I mean, and that's one of the things that, he's been talking about is, you think you don't have what you need, but what he has shown me here today is that, you're never going to have everything, together the way you want, but, for what I have, I mean, I can get started.
I've gotten some real keys that I can apply in my mastermind and also to make better use of the masterminds that I'm in. If you want to be in a place where you have the most mutually beneficial relationships, then masterminds is really the way to go.
You're learning for yourself, but when you're serving other people, you gain something that is way bigger than an advantage. Like you feel different, you approach your life different.
Jay teaches the how. He has templates, he has processes.
This is going to be a life-changing event. And not only that, and all the content, but Jay models authenticity.
Jay's been through the fire. He's been through every possible shit you could go through in that sort of realm, in the realm of masterminds, and he's just laying it on the line, like what you're in for and how to navigate it properly.
And Jay's been doing it for 27 years, and I know because I've been involved in some of his masterminds and events like this, he does them, to the next level.
He's really hard focused. He has your best interest literally at heart, and he's also very compassionate, and he's able to go in places and talk about subjects that might be more challenging in a way that you feel safe and that you know that he's looking out for you.
The engagement that he gets from the audience has been phenomenal, and the opportunity to actually go to the mic and be coached on the spot and get those breakthroughs, it's not just delivering information, but it's truly been an experience every step of the way.
Touching him on the screen to see him on live is exciting, so it's nice he's sharing the content personally, so that's nice to see.
So what I love about Jay's events is you actually come out really quite enlightened and on fire with what it is you want to achieve.
This is the place to be. You got to come and hear it live from him. It makes such a difference.
Everyone should come. Even if you don't want to run a mastermind, just the personal development you'll get out of this and the connections that you'll get.
I guess more than anything, I just want to say thank you to Jay for sharing his gift, for sharing this knowledge, for not holding back, and giving me the tools that I need to leave right away and implement and make tweaks that are going to make a big difference in my business.
Alrighty, welcome back. So a whole bunch of orders flying in. So brilliant decisions, gang. I appreciate you, number one, taking a stand for you and your tribe and your message. I certainly appreciate you trusting us with supporting you. I mean, it's a big deal, and I do not underestimate that in any way, shape, or form. So there's a couple of things that we always go into a little sort of Q&A here, but I want to just talk about a couple of objections first. And, you know, oh, I have missed a whole bunch of Q&A and all that fun stuff. So let me go back to here. Somebody said, I agree, we're in the connection age, absolutely, without a doubt. Mechanical stuff, Rob, I just want to say thank you, Rob, which, by the way, gang, if you haven't noticed, Rob is just a complete and utter rock star at addressing questions and all those sorts of things. And I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you doing this on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. So going back to the objections. You know, there's a whole bunch of objections that are just socially acceptable these days. The two most socially acceptable objections are, I don't have enough time and I don't have enough money. And I just want to address those. And I want to say this because I want to speak to the higher part of yourself, not the part of yourself that has gotten used to arguing for your limitation. I want to talk for a moment to your spirit, to your soul, to your calling. And I want to be very clear about this. If the issue of time and money are still the determining story of the quality of your life and your contribution, you need to take a bigger stand. If time and money still determine your capacity to contribute, your contribution is limited. If time and money are still blocking you from being and doing what you say your stand is in the world, then I'm going to be harsh with you. You're being a hypocrite. And if you want to attract a tribe that stands behind you, heart, mind, and soul, then you've got to figure out a way to navigate your way past those excuses. And let's be clear about them. They are excuses. Every single one of us finds somehow, some way, the money for what we deem to be most important in our lives. And if you are ready, truly, not lip service, ready for a breakthrough, if you are in the space where it's time to get leverage because trading time for money just simply isn't working anymore, then you have to have the higher part of yourself, your calling, have a serious come to Jesus conversation with the lower part of yourself that is still telling the bullshit excuses, and you need to get this dealt with. Now, here's a little hint from a personal development history, is that the point at which we stop buying our own stories is the point at which we open ourselves up to the capacity to create. And my invitation to you is this. Every single one of you can afford this. Let me be clear about this. Because it's free. Number two, the time. And you might need a place to stay and all the rest of it. Those are teeny tiny details to get handled. And if those details that are truly teeny and tiny can't be handled, I want you to take a moment to and question yourself about your capacity to lead and your capacity to coach and your capacity to consult and your capacity to really make a difference in life. Because they're silly. They're utterly and completely silly at this price point, at this time in your life, at the level at which you could contribute. And please understand, I'm not trying to make you wrong or slap your hand or any of those sorts of things. I'm trying to call that highest part of you that knows that you are a conscious creator, that know that you are here on planet Earth to lead, and that knows that there's a tribe of people who need your message, that all of the challenges and the difficulties in your life, including, by the way, a limitation of time and money, are part of what prepares you to be perfectly qualified to lead your tribe. So, that highest part of yourself knows, heart, mind, and soul, that this is a way to do it, or you wouldn't still be watching. That highest part of you knows that you need tribe and community, or you still wouldn't be watching. That highest part of you wants to be there in that room of amazing human beings dedicated to contribution in Phoenix. So my invitation to you is, click the button, find a way. Click the button, find a way, and let us serve and support. All right. And I think the last part I want to say about that is if you're sitting there going, it's like, yeah, he's being a pokey ass. I am. And it is because of this reason. When you have a calling and a mission, it's your obligation to follow it. And the greatest insult to God's Spirit, humanity, is people who are capable not following their passion. People who are qualified, not putting in the resources to actually lead. And it's one of the things that breaks my heart most significantly. So my invitation to you is this. Acknowledge that you are a powerful creator and you can do whatever your heart desires, including finding a way to get there so that you can step up your contribution and step up your leadership. So please join us. Okay, on that note, gang, we're going to do another interview, and I'm changing the order ever so slightly of things, but I have a dear friend of mine who juggled her afternoon and life and world to come here and hang out. Oh, let me just address this before, and I want to make sure. It says there's no option on the form to do the VIP purchase. So Harold, number one is that you'll get it's called like a little, there's another form that comes up after you do the 197, and that's where you would click for the upgrade. If technology is going crazy or not working right because of the activity, sometimes that happens, just send a quick note to Rob on the chat and just say, hey, I want to do VIP, and they'll take care of you. Okay, so just know that if technology doesn't always cooperate, we'll still take care of you. So back to introducing my dear friend. So I don't know how many of you have been in business for about 30 years, but I have. And how I started in this world was through a personal development program and taking a facilitator training program. And the woman that I'm about to introduce you to, she and I have, number one, we took that facilitator training program literally 30 years ago this summer. Over those 30 years, we have done events and programs and all sorts of things together. And I'm just honored and privileged to call her a friend and call her an associate. So I'm going to make my way over to where she is. And I think my dear technological wizard is going to play a little video for you to watch while I wander over there and get things set up. All right, perfect.
You're so good.
Hello and welcome back. My brilliant friend is here. This is Jeanette Anderson. Thank you for being here. I truly appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
We go back a very, very, very long way.
He's a lot older than he looks.
I just started really young. I'm still really young at heart. So Jeanette and I took our facilitator training eons ago.
Eons.
And you have, years ago we had a mastermind community around our personal development programs called Creation Circles, and you led, some of the most successful groups of that process. And I know you've got some new mastermind groups coming up. So I just kind of wanted to pick your brain about a variety of things. But before we do so, how about you just tell the world a little bit about who you are, what you're working on, because I know you got a bunch of exciting things coming up in lots of ways.
Well, we don't have enough time for all that, but to get started.
The most interesting.
Oh, we don't have enough time for all that. So, as Jay said, we've known each other for a long time. So when you come to Mastermind to Millions, I'll be there. And for a glass of wine, I will tell you his deepest, darkest secrets. Or maybe it might be 2 glasses required. So, in addition to working with Jay on a bunch of things, like he said, we've done personal development courses, creation circles, developed a couple of mastermind programs together, and am now working with that as well as growing my business, Bodacity, when you said the comment about if you are called, you have an obligation. My experience is, and if you ignore or try to ignore that obligation, like I did for 7 years, because I'm a little bit resistant and rebellious, and so when the universe knocked, I said, no, I think you got the wrong number. Go call someone else, and hung up. And then it knocked again, and it's like, no, but really, I don't want to lead a group of women because really, I don't even like women. Go away. And then got the knock again and again. This went on for 7 years. And for 7 years, in all of that resistance and challenge, the call was still there, and the desire was still there. And I kept using stories and excuses about, well, there's so many groups for women entrepreneurs, and it's been done. Of course, there's hundreds more now that I've procrastinated for 7 years.
Thousands.
Than there were. Yeah, exactly. Shut up. And however, I finally got over that one with, I saw a stat recently that in the U.S. alone, every single day, there are 5,000 new businesses started by women. Every day, and that's 5,000. Over 5,000.
Okay,
about 5,200.
Okay, so I just have to say this, and your mastermind may or may not have anything to do with entrepreneurship, but I really believe that this, like that stat alone, speaks to this idea that people are attempting to become more independent and attempting to make their own way. The knowledge gap between the people who start and the people who are experienced and are going to win at it is like the Grand Canyon. So there is opportunity. And by the way, that's just women. That doesn't speak about any of the other stuff.
Yeah.
So if any of you are sitting there thinking that my niche is full, it's like that is BS excuses.
Exactly.
Anyway, I just had to.
Yep. So I spun with my BS for a long time, my belief system and my bullshit for a long time, and with all of the stories about, well, it's been done, and there's not enough demand, and you know, I don't want to be just yet another one, and finally, the universe kept knocking very persistently, which was very fortunate because sometimes those opportunities miss us, or we let them pass us by. And I decided, no, it was actually time to step up and do this. And since doing that, then there's been a tremendous amount of freedom and relief. Once stepping into the commitment is actually a lot easier than all the resistance, as you know, for all that time. So Bodacity is about, our mission statement is shifting the world from fear to love, one happy woman at a time. And it really is about, it's an old cliche, but if mama ain't happy, then neither the men, neither the kids, and neither's the planet. So we got to get back to our joy, which leads us to our purpose. So our pleasure leads to our purpose, which leads to our power, which leads to a whole lot more effectiveness. And for a long time, I resisted that because, like I said, I didn't even like working with women. So it's like, you have the wrong number.
So I just have to say this because I know that like, I think that you said that 3 times now, which number one is not true. But, and I know it's not true because out of 30 years, you have deeply served, quite literally, tens of thousands of women.
Yeah.
But it's funny how our belief systems can throw up the craziest excuses to keep ourselves just on the sort of fringe or the cusp of our calling.
Yeah.
And part of the reason I wanted you to come here to talk to us about Bodacity is, number one, she's renamed Mastermind something super cool. But it's really this standing at the fringe experience, which I know, and I know this from 30 years of personal development.
Yeah.
I know this from conversations with you and I know this from my own experience. I think that is one of the most painful freaking spots in the universe.
It is.
And I'm going to ask you this, but I want them I want you guys to answer this question too.
Okay.
So, for example,
yes,
out of the hundreds or thousands of additional now women's groups, women's communities, women's masterminds, women, all those sorts of things, how many times have you had this thought of, Jesus, Murphy, I could do way better than that, and they're like knocking it out of the park?
Yeah. In every case except one that I've looked at.
Okay, so that's a hint, my friend.
Yes.
That is totally a hint. And I know you could. That's why I asked the question.
Exactly. So part of it is been getting over the resistance in the stories, and frankly, that's just all fear of I'm not going to be good enough, I can't do it, I need to know more, and all of that, which is, I know from teaching personal development courses, I know from working with people as coaching clients and consulting clients, that is nothing more than a story and crap. And the whole epidemic of not enoughness is exactly why I need to work with this whole group. And so, of course, as leaders, we have to step through that which we want to teach. And that's why we want to teach that, because we're learning it, growing through it ourselves, etc. And so Bodacity is all about supporting women in leading bold businesses and bold lives. So it's both components. And we focus on entrepreneurship because I think entrepreneurship is one of the best ways to live into your dreams and to share your passions and to live with your passions.
Now, you guys have renamed Masterminds to something else. Tell us about what the name is. Tell us about how you came up with that name. Tell us about what it means to you.
Okay, so we are launching our Fasterminds in September.
Your who minds?
Fasterminds.
Okay.
So they're called Fasterminds, Business Women's Acceleration Circles, and Dream Acceleration Circles.
I like that.
Because bold businesses, bold lives, and so it's both components. And there are some women who are not entrepreneurs, or that even if they are, really what they're up to is creating their ideal life, creating some bucket list items, creating more meaning in their family and their relationships. And the other side is business women. So most of those are women who have been in business for a while. And one of the things that women don't do tremendously well quite often is receive support. They're good at giving. They're good at being there for other people, and in many cases being all things to all people, except themselves.
Yes. Now, number one, that is absolutely without a doubt true, but it's also an entrepreneurial issue.
Yeah.
So this whole thing of, and I'm going to speak to some of my American friends here. Good Lord, I love the American independent spirit. Like I really, really do.
Yeah.
But honest to God, it costs you guys an inordinate amount of time, energy, and money. And it is part of the call to this mastermind of, yes, I can be independent and I can be interdependent to accelerate my growth and evolution. And it's an interesting little cultural shift from Canada to the U.S. I mean, it's not, it's not blazingly loud, but it exists. And so from my invitation, part of why I'm saying that is that if you are watching from the U.S. or you have this incredible independent streak, or you know that you're kind of shitty at receiving, getting your butt to Mastermind Millionaire Live is even more important for you. Anyway, so I just...
Yeah, absolutely. And as much as many people may be tired of hearing another group for women business owners, part of the reason is that we need to step up more and step out more and shift the paradigm of how business is being done. We can't do that if we aren't actually shifting how business is being done in here. And so a big part of what we focus on in Bodacity is getting these 4 inches working so that the business will work. Because this, for all entrepreneurs, for all people, is what stops us from stepping into who we want to be, who we're going to step up and step out as. And I was recently reading, it was a Harvard business study on mentorship. And statistically, men and women in certain organizations are mentored about the same level, but the significant difference is more men ask for mentorship and they are sponsored more. So the difference between sponsorship and mentorship is someone is willing to advocate for you. They'll give you referrals. They'll go to bat for you. Mentorship is they'll give you information, they'll teach you, they'll train you. But there's a big difference, and therefore the advancement of men in organizations is significantly higher because they're sponsored, not mentored. In masterminds, the cool thing is you get both. You get sponsorship because people are going to advocate for you. They're going to introduce you to people. They're going to provide you with resources, and you get mentorship. You get the benefit of wisdom and so forth. So in a mastermind group, part of why we call it Fasterminds is because you're going to learn faster, grow faster, and get stuff done faster. And it's because you've got sponsorship, mentorship, advocacy, support, community, people who've got your back, you're going to be able to get a whole lot more done a lot faster without trying to do it all on your own, which is what most people do and make big mistakes with that, because you do grow, you do get advanced further, you do make greater strides if you've got people who've got your back, who are supporting you, who are helping you with your business and your growth. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that distinction in terms of the sponsorship and the advocacy and all of those pieces, because one of the things that we used to use to describe to our elite entrepreneurs in terms of what the promise of the mastermind was, is that we would use the phrase of we bend time. is that you can create sometimes in days and weeks and months what would have taken months, years, or never. And I think I love this idea of masterminds, and it has a great ring to it. So in terms of people finding you and what you're up to and all of those pieces, Bodacity is...
Well, we're launching a new website, and so it will be at bodacity.ca. Don't go look yet. Shortly. But on Facebook, we have a Facebook group called the Bodacity's Action Heroes, because it's all about getting into action. That's what really stops a lot of people, is all of the thinking about things. So really, the difference between our group and a lot of other groups is we start with the fundamentals. A lot of people are teaching people how to run businesses, and here's how you do social media, and here's how you do marketing, and here's how you do sales. And we do talk about those things, but really the first step that stops most people is they need the courage to take the step, to take the action. So Bodacity is about giving you a kick in the context, right? And one of our things we say is we help women grab life by the ovaries and go for it. So, or lady balls, it depends on how you want to, whatever you want to call it. But that's often what a lot of people need, is they need that support for being bolder, being willing to take the step. So we've got a Courage Creation Challenge coming up, and it's all about 5 days to support you in doing the things that you know and are not doing. So creating the courage with community, with support, with that kick in the context, the encouragement to go out and do some of the things that are simple things that will help you grow your business, get new clients, get more out there in the world. So it's about the courage first to take the step. Because it's not that we don't know. It's that we don't do what we know.
Yes.
And we don't do what we know because we got all sorts of shit going on.
Which is why it's why both of us love Mastermind so much, because we can't go keep telling the same damn story to other people who are standing for the best in us time and time again. It just doesn't work. Okay. So on that note, have you been to 1 or 2 Mastermind to Millions live?
2.
You've been to 2. So I know that there's still people at home going, oh, should I do it? Shouldn't I do it? I'm pretty comfortable standing at the fray watching other people do it, even though it's killing my soul inside. Should I go?
It's too bad you don't practice some drama somewhere along the way.
I think I learned it from my kids. Like, oh, it's free. I don't know if I can afford it. Oh. Sorry. Sometimes my smart ass comes out. Occasionally.
Sometimes. Occasionally.
So if somebody was sort of in your shoes, that whole standing on the fray, and it was considering should they juggle their life, because they might take juggling, and I get that, to get their butt to Mastermind to Millions Live, what would your words of wisdom be, and what would be the key things, or the key couple of things that you think would make a difference for them to step past the BS?
Okay, well, there's so many things. So the short version would be, do it. I'm done. No. so seriously, I think one of the things that I find the most inspiring at the events is seeing so many people who are so committed to giving and being the change that they want to see in the world. It touches my heart every time. A friend of mine said, oh, you'll be on this interview and make sure you cry. I said, it's a given. Because it touches my heart to see so many people being a stand for other people in the world. Even if they don't feel like they can, even if they don't have an idea how to do it, even if they're scared, there's being a stand for other people in meaningful ways. Whether it's road warrior dads who want to connect with their kids, or women who want to reinvent themselves, or entrepreneurs who want to serve more. There's like so many examples. There's a mastermind for absolutely everything and everybody. And seeing these people who are so genuinely earnest is so affirming. Your cup gets filled because you get reminded about how good people are and how good you are because you're there with them. And sometimes we forget that. We forget in all of the busyness and the doing and the trying and all of that, all of the have-tos and should bullshit, we forget that we care and that there's a lot of people who care and that the world will be okay as long as those people, i.e. us, take action. Because when we don't, that's when all the other crap does come to the forefront. When we are being the change we want to see, then it does change the world. And so it's an inspiring way to get your cup filled. It's a kick in the context to expand that sense of what's possible. And it's just downright fun because there's so many cool people from all around the world doing things that you go, oh, what a great idea. Oh, and I could do this in the corporate workplace. And oh, I could do that and, you know, take this on the road. I could do road. There's just so many cool, inspiring ideas that if you're thinking, I want to create a different kind of life, that becomes possible. One of the reasons I started this iteration of my business and Masterminds is because I committed 2 years ago to a mobile life, to that whole, you know, laptop warrior lifestyle thing. And it allows me to do that. So I spend 6 months on the beach or somewhere warm because I hate Canadian winters. And I can do that because of Masterminds and the business models that are possible from this kind of work. So get your butt to the event. Come get a hug or 20 or 30. Get your cup filled and really see what's possible, not just for you, but for the world.
Love that. Thank you so much for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
The only other thing I would say to that is one of the things that when you're there, you'll get a chance to connect with Jeanette. You'll get a chance to connect with a bunch of fabulous people. And if you ever want, 10 minutes of curl your hair and open your heart coaching.
In that order.
Jeanette is on our coaching staff. She runs our premium program called Lead, and she can see and connect dots in a way that happens that fast. And it is just one of the pieces that we do at the event as well, is provide all kinds of coaching resources to help connect the dots. And sometimes people are just, everything's there, and it's like, look, we need to connect this and this. And so we do that, and she is one of the most brilliant coaches on planet Earth. You get to tap into her brain and her capacity on that behalf. So thank you for coming and sharing.
Thank you. Oh, sure. Okay, so just to be clear, you can opt into the challenge, our Facebook challenge, which is coming up August 7th, starting August 7th for 5 days, by going to the group, Bodacity's Action Heroes. So it's in Facebook groups, Bodacity's Action Heroes. If you search for that, you'll find it. There's an opt-in there. It's free. And we will support you in getting some stuff done that you've been thinking about and not doing, so that you can start creating the results that you haven't had.
Such as activate your ticket for Mastermind to Millions Live. That would be a good action step for a hero. Says the voice from above.
So you can show up and be who you want to be. So get your butt there. We'll see you in Phoenix. Look forward to meeting you and finding out what inspiring stuff you're up to. We can compare notes about resistance and how it's time to get past that.
Thank you, my dear. I so appreciate you. Love you lots.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we're going to go back over to the chair there. So somebody's going to do something with the switcher so that you have something interesting to watch other than me just wandering across the room.
You're so good, out of the ordinary. This one is all for you.
All right, welcome back. I am just checking our little conversation here for questions and answers and all of those pieces. Looking good. Make sure I haven't missed anything. Okay. And somebody was just asking, what's the hotel? So we are at the Wekopa Resort, which is a beautiful and stunning place. We have a fantastic room rate for you. So as soon as you register, you're going to be getting a couple of things. You'll get invitation to our Facebook group. You're going to get all of the details to register and get your room handled. So yeah, just click the button. All that information will come your way. All right. So there's a whole bunch of things that I still want to cover. And we've got some limited time here. So I'm going to just, if we can move to PowerPoint there, my friend, I will call a couple things up momentarily. Now, and I know I changed order on you, gang, so it's all good. That's our PowerPoint. I'm just finding my right slide here, folks, so bear with me one momento. Now, there have been a couple of questions, not as many as actually sometimes occurs. There have been a couple of questions about, I think my positioning is clear and all the rest of it. What I'm concerned about is, how do I fill my mastermind? And if any of you have that concern or question, it's like, feel free to just type it in. It's like, I'm concerned about the marketing, or I'm concerned about the filling, or I'm concerned about how that's going to transpire. And what I want to do is I want to share with you something that we are going to give you a really in-depth and detailed manual for. And it is something which is called the Fill Your Masterminds with Ease. And it's a part of our 30-day roadmap. We are also going to actually practice it at part of the mastermind that precedes the event. I'm going to teach you a couple of key sort of ninja tricks for that process. And we are going to go through and break it down step by step as part of the training at Mastermind to Millions Live. And that event and that process, Fill Your Mastermind with Ease, is, how do I put it? It is just one of the most magical, easy, and joyful ways in the universe to build relationship, create connection, scale up your relationship, your intimacy, and your influence, and to build a foundation upon which you can do all kinds of things, launch your mastermind, whatever the case may be. So I am going to wander over to the easel here momentarily, and I'm going to draw a couple of key pieces that I want you to understand. And I'm going to share with you a couple of the elements. Please know that there's far more resources about this in the Mastermind Roadmap, but I want you to start thinking about it from this perspective. Oh, you know what? Well, I'll come back there. I'll come back. All good. Okay. So, WCC. So WCC is our internal code name for what we call wine, conversations, and cash. And this particular process is interesting because the internal code name is this, is that really all the event is a beautifully structured and incredibly well-targeted wine and conversation event. We added the last C, the cash part, which I'm going to put here for fun and entertainment. We added it at the end because what transpired is there is zero selling at these events by the host, by anybody else who's there. But what occurs is that it always turns into some fantastic transaction, some fantastic business. And I want to put this in perspective. The poorest one I ever did, 60 days after the event, it generated more than $60,000. I'm going to say that again because people have difficulty wrapping their head and heart around it. 60 days after the event, it generated $60,000. So I want to share with you the highlights of what a WCC is. And it starts with something that I hope you have noticed. All three of my brilliant guests, Robin, Jackie, Jeanette, all three of them talked about, and some of them said it directly, some of them said it indirectly, talked about their target for their mastermind. They hyper target it. So if you're going to do a WCC, in a nutshell, here's what it boils down to, is that you are going to hyper target a group of people that you believe you want to, number one, contribute more to, you want to build greater intimacy with, you believe, based on what your knowledge of them is, they may be a fit for your mastermind, but you're not 100% sure yet. And you're going to hyper target. Now, you will have this ideally in your own home, but it does not need to be your home. It could be a restaurant, it could be a rented room, it could be some version thereof. I love doing them in my home for this reason: relationship into intimacy, into influence. Why I like having them at my home is that it's a way to start the relationship on a different note. What we're doing is saying, hey, yes, we're going to talk about some business. Yes, we're going to have a little mini mastermind. Yes, I'm going to connect you with a bunch of other rock stars from our community. And this is not a salesy event. I'm not going to be pulling out, I'm not going to be pulling out my Amway basket. I mean, we're just going to have a glass of wine, have meaningful conversation. Now, here's the other thing about this, about WCC. If anyone's like, well, I don't drink, how do I do this? It's not about the wine. This is about symbolic breaking of bread. So you could have it as your chocolate and dreams evening. You could have it as tea and talk. It doesn't matter. It's this process of bringing very specific people together for a very specific conversation that increases your intimacy and influence with that particular tribe. Now, the next piece to this is that when I hyper-target, is that this is not, please hear this is not something that gets posted on Facebook. This is not something that gets an email blast. This is me choosing, usually about 15 people, that I will reach out to personally. That I may, if I don't know them personally, I may ask somebody to introduce me personally. This is me choosing clearly and consciously. And by the way, I always do 15 because what I really want, there's somewhere between 8 and 12-ish. So I choose 15 simply because just by setting a date, usually what occurs, that eliminates almost half the people on the planet. So I always start with 15. That's how that's going to go. Now, when they say yes, and by the way, this is a phone call, this is a personal text, and it sounds very simple and straightforward, which is, I'm gathering a group of rock stars at my home. My friend, or our mutual friend Bob, has been saying for eons, I got to get to know you. And this is just a way for us to hang out, see if there's some collaboration or some possibility for us to do some work together, but we'll get to know each other. Super casual, no big structure, no sales pitch, no nothing. We're just going to connect with a group of rock stars. And I'd be happy to introduce you to a couple of people I think could make a difference for you. That's it. Simple, clean, and easy. Now, here's what occurs, is that when they say yes, they immediately get what I call a prep form. And that prep form does one thing. The prep form asks them to prepare themselves to give. Okay, so notice we're already doing our very best to influence the context, to influence the framework, to influence how people are going to show up. So notice that the prep form doesn't say, and what can you sell? The prep form is all about, what can you give? How could you contribute to this group? How could you make sure that this is worthwhile like 10 times over to everyone else who is there and for you? It also asks, what would you like to receive? What would meaningful support be to you? So we control how that thing looks. And then when they come, every single person there has equal time to answer 4 key questions. Those 4 key questions are in the manual that you will get for your 30-day Mastermind Roadmap. And they have a little bit of mastermind time / brainstorm. And we simply manage how that process goes. Now, while this is going on, here's what I'm doing. I'm looking, am I too low or is that okay? It's okay? Perfect. I'm looking for how people show up. I'm looking for their energy. I'm looking for their contribution. I'm looking for, how do I put this? Their engagement. I'm looking for a match for a future conversation. And I'm doing all of this through this filter of what can I give or contribute to them that will make a meaningful difference in their life, in their world, and in their business. And when I'm going through this process, here's what occurs. Sometimes the give is, I need to introduce you to my dear friend Jeanette. She runs this program. It's called Bodacity. It is exactly for you, and I would love, love, love to introduce you. Sometimes it's a give. Sometimes I buy people books. Sometimes I give them free programs. I do whatever is necessary to serve and to support them with whatever it is that they are working on. And here's a little hint. If I am the host of the WCC, I have an objective, and it is this, is I want to give more than any other person there. Now, please understand this, that this isn't a giving competition, but it's just as simple as this, is that if I'm in the midst of going through the time, effort, and energy, then I want to make certain that when people leave, it's like, holy crap, that was astounding. That was one of the best nights in my entire month, or one of the best nights in my entire year. Now, if you do this well, and please understand, there's absolutely no selling there. I have had, and I'm going to just do this because it's fun and entertaining. I've had people at my home going through this process. They're standing at the door, and because there's no pitching, there's no offer, there's no nothing, they're standing at the door, coat on, shoes on, credit card in hand. It's like, so I don't know exactly what this was, but whatever you're selling, I'm going to buy it. So here's my card. And it's like, number one, we're not selling anything. Number two, if you really want to have a serious conversation about that, we'll book a time, and I'll have my assistant call you for tomorrow. We'll have a coffee. We'll have a little text conversation. But put your credit card away. It's like, oh, no, just take the number. It's like, no, put it away, because that's not happening here. So if you do it well, seriously, you will have pent-up demand for people who want to engage with you further. So this is the high-level sort of 1,000-foot view. It is called Fill Your Mastermind with Ease, which, by the way, it doesn't just work for mastermind. I need to, this is something, again, that didn't necessarily come up. When I said to you at the beginning, the worst I've ever done is $60,000 60 days later, please understand that was not all mastermind sales. I actually think that was 2 masterminds. That was about 4 people who chose to come to the JVology Summit. It was a JV deal for a sponsorship for one of my events, and there was another JV deal for me to actually speak on somebody else's stage. So it comes in lots of different ways. But the focus, and I want to be very clear about this, the focus is on what can I give? Because when it's done well, in a safe environment, here's what occurs. You have a room full of rock stars in your space who, please hear this, say to you, this is what I want to create in my life. This is what I want to create in my business. And this is the support that I think that I need. Outside of the pressure of sales, outside of the pressure of all the silly stuff, and it acts as, exactly as Jackie had said, exactly what's true about our event, Mastermind Millionaires Live, and it acts as this sort of magnetic pull when somebody tells the truth about what they want and what they need, and we can help do that by giving, whether it's us or someone else, miracles happen. So one of the reasons you need to come to Mastermind Millionaires Live is to experience this in person. So you know what it is, you can line the thing up, and you can knock your, number 1, mastermind out of the park. Generally speaking, by the way, sometimes people ask questions like, how many WCCs? In our Launch Your Mastermind 90-day program, I suggest to people that you should plan for 5 WCCs. Plan for 5. Now, it could be done a hell of a lot faster, or it might take you a little bit more time depending on your positioning. But a dear friend of mine, John Ramstead, who, by the way, he and I believe his partner, Brian, are going to be at Mastermind Millionaires Live. John filled his first mastermind with his first WCC. Had 100% of the people who came to the WCC enroll in his beta program, had 100% of the people in his beta mastermind enroll for his full-blown mastermind. Absolutely astounding. Anyway, this is one of the key pieces. We're going to go back to the other table over there. I'm happy to answer any questions about that because we got one more little segment for Q&A here. I'm heading back this way. All right, gang, just checking into messages here. Okay, those questions are all done. VIP, yep, okay. Those are all mechanical questions. It's all good. If you have questions specifically about WCCs, how WCCs work, and how they roll out at the event, then I want you to absolutely jump in, ask them. I've got a couple minutes left where I'm happy to answer those questions. Now, let's talk about being at the event and one of the key pieces. We have a stand that I want you to recognize. And it's important that you hear first, is that I'm trying to say this politely, but I'm not very good at polite, as you probably already know. But in the world of marketing, in the world of internet marketing, in the world of coaching, there are a multitude of people who position themselves as experts at this one little thing that they just learned how to do 2 weeks ago. And you got to know, I am obviously not a big fan of that. I am a big fan of mastery. I'm a big fan of doing the work. I'm a big fan of serving and exceeding promises. And the thing that I want you to understand is that if you're going to run a mastermind, which I believe you should, again, coach, consultant, subject matter expert, entrepreneur, if you're going to run a mastermind, then you must also be in a mastermind. One of the greatest blocks and barriers, as I see people doing their best to position a mastermind, launch a mastermind, lead a mastermind, is that they've not had an embodied experience of what it's like to actually run through a process of a WCC, to actually run through a process of what a great hot seat is. And that's another one of the manuals, by the way, you'll get in the 30-day roadmap, is called the Breakthrough Hot Seat Strategy. And it is a structured process that we use to prepare people for hot seats that ensures there's a breakthrough every single time. For those of you who've been in hot seats that were more like cold showers, you know how important this is. So what you really genuinely need, and this is like top of the list for you to run a fantastic mastermind, is for you to experience and to be in a mastermind. So at the event, you're going to have that experience. It will be, for some of you, an embodied experience. I get this, look out world, here I come. For others of you, you're going to need more additional support than that. And we also make sure that we collect a variety of people who, we're going to have a little thing called like Mastermind Alley, where a variety of people who have done our trainings, a variety of people whom we have worked with, will be there. And you'll have a selection of masterminds that will fit exactly your promise, so that you can actually get into a mastermind that is going to serve and support you to lead your mastermind. And honest to goodness, folks, when you bookend these two pieces, it is absolutely game-changing. And everyone, just to be clear about this, should be in a mastermind that's sharpening their leading learning edge, where they're being challenged for their personal evolution and what it is that they want to create. And then they should be leading a mastermind where they're sharing what they know, what they can do in their sleep, what makes a monumental difference. And if you do those two things, just those two things, I guarantee that we can add a zero to your business. Seriously. And I don't care if you're at 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures. If we do those two things strategically, we can add a zero. So that's one of the reasons I want you to come. That's one of the reasons why we can move further in 3 short days than often we can in months at home with an online program. I love online programs, but it's not the same. All right, gang. Make sure we haven't missed anything in terms of Q&A and all the rest of it. 5 minutes left. All right. Well, then, if that's the case, then I'm going to just go back to the final invitation for you to attend. And I have an additional piece that I want to share with you that I think is unbelievably important and vital. And I'm going to actually add it for everyone who's done it. I'm going to get my little knapsack out. Ugh. So we have an inordinate number of bonuses for you in terms of that entire process. But I'm going to add something also incredibly tangible. And Rob's giggling at me. I know. Well, and here's the reason. You know, the conversation I had with Jeanette. Handling excuses is one of the most difficult things in the universe. And one of the things you may or may not be aware of is that an excuse that we use on ourselves that blocks us from our purpose is actually an act of self-victimization. It is where we are actively arguing for our limitations. We are actively diminishing our power. We are actively getting in the way of the conscious acts of creation that you are possible of, or that you're capable of, or that are possible. So here's the thing. I want to just recap our offer very quick. And it's as simple as get all the information, all the details. You just click the button that says click here to register. It's just over to the right of the screen on your computer. And when you click on that, it is going to take you over to our offer page. And the offer page has all of these pieces. So for the first 100 people, and by the way, if you are still on this call, click that damn button if you haven't already, because you want to. And I want to be clear about this. This offer is simply one of the best that exists on planet Earth. The actual value, please hear this, the actual value of all of the content and all of the support and all of the resources before you get to the event is over $2,500. And you get it for $197 seat deposit, which means it's free, okay? There is nothing else we can do to make this better for you. The only thing that can make this actually offer sweeter is if I said, look, come to the event for free, do 30 days of training, take our online program, come for a free mastermind. Oh, wait, I'll get in my car and come pick you up and drive you there. Like, seriously, that's the only thing that can make this any freaking better.
Now I'm in.
Now I'm in. Smart Alec. But I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. I can't drive you. You've got to figure your way to the airport, to the hotel. You can do that. And you can trust that when you take that action, we are going to take exceptionally good care of you. So, anyone else who wants to take advantage of this offer, please hear this while the show is on. When this is done, it goes to our regular $197 ticket in terms of what's on for the, if you go to our website, that is what is there for the early bird offer. So this doesn't exist anywhere else as an offer. But I'm going to incent, again, first 100 people, get your ass in gear. And I will also throw in a copy of, and it'll be a digital copy of my book, Reframe Your Blame. And I'll tell you why I love this book is, number one, it will help you deal with your excuses. It will help you deal with your excuses are nothing more than, please hear this, self-victimization. So if we get to this core of personal accountability, it's going to help you move forward. And by the way, if any of you have clients that are kind of stuck in excuses, this is fabulous for them. It's actually a workbook. You can use it in any way, shape, or form that you like, and we will get you a digital copy of my book. And just to be clear about it, it's frankly stunning and amazing and well worth it. And I just want you to help handle some of those challenges and excuses and blocks and barriers. So, the big call. You know you want. You know that scale is important. And I want to end it with just this little bit of math, because sometimes math is your friend. At the low end, if you're going to launch a mastermind, you could do a low-end mastermind for $197 a month. You put 10 people in at $197 a month, and we are now at $2,000 a month, or $24,000 a year, serving one group. And at that price point, that probably means you're working one night a month. If you want to do a premium offering, depending upon your influence and your capacity, you could easily do a group that is $10,000. Please hear this. That $10,000, let's call this a year, but a group of 10 people at $10,000 a year, that's $100,000. And the truth is there's price points everywhere in between. And I have done mastermind groups, position launch and led them, as low as $97 a month, all the way up to $100,000 a year. It all depends on who you want to serve. But here's what I give you my word about. If you have a tribe, if you have a message, if you are committed to building your influence, we can put together a promise that speaks to the heart of your unique tribe, that even at the low end is going to add $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a month. A month. So if you've been struggling and you've been looking for what the hell is this going to be, let us serve and support you. You don't need to struggle so long. Not appropriate. And that struggle for a heartfelt, mission-driven entrepreneur, that struggle is quite frankly beneath you. It is time to let go of that story. It's time to make a bigger difference in your life, for your family, and in the world. So on that note, my friend, click the button to register. The first 100 get all of the bonuses that we've just talked about. Number one, complimentary ticket to the event. On its own, that's just amazing. Do it. In addition to that, you get the Mastermind Essentials training. That's worth $500, $497, and it is outstanding. On top of that, you are going to get the 30-day roadmap. That includes the manual, Mastermind Mentors Manual. It includes the Fill Your Mastermind with Ease Manual. It includes the Breakthrough Hot Seat Strategies manuals, and a whole bunch of little basic actions and strategies to get you ready for the event. And then you get my own team, me and my own team. I will be there guiding you through a mastermind experience before the event even starts. Now, all of those, every single one of those, so $497 for the Mastermind Essentials, it's $1,000 is the value of the Mastermind, the 30-day roadmap. It's $1,000 for the Mastermind with me and my team. You get all of those, and you can get them for free. So, do yourself a favor. Do your tribe and community a favor. Do your family a favor. Click the button, make the commitment to step into the power that you have, and join us at Mastermind Millions Live. Your tribe is waiting. Are you ready to step up and actually lead to the capacity that you know you're able? I think you are. Please watch this video, click the button, and I look forward to serving and supporting you at Mastermind to Millions Live.
Online or virtual training has its place in the whole mix, but doesn't ever take the place of live interaction.
Being able to sit there and structure and write down what I want my mastermind to look like.
What makes this event really unique is not only does Jay teach how to put on masterminds, but you get to experience what's it like in a mastermind setting.
It's been a combination of lectures, interactive activities, as well as enough breaks for us to network with other people in the community, as well as tabletop exercises where we can talk to our neighbor and change to another table. They've done a really excellent job of producing an event.
So Jay and Joshua is like the absolute dream team. They complement each other so well.
If I'm opening a new business line or a new area in the business, I'll always go and find the world expert in that particular area. I looked around and I found Jay was the world expert in masterminds, so there's no better way than to learn from the best.
What I think distinguishes Jay is his attention to detail and the amount that he cares. When you ask something, he will address it, and he will address it until it is done and until you are satisfied with the answer.
How often he would pause, he would stop, he would help somebody, he would take a question from the audience, answer that person's question, and then broaden the lesson so it applied to me.
He opened up the chest and said, this is how I do this. These are my secrets. Go do this yourself. Just so generously, you just don't see that. People saying, here, I want you to be successful, so committed to our success at a high level that he gave us all his tools.
He is just so natural. He is just so good on stage.
This is who he is. This is who you see on and off the stage, and he really genuinely cares about me.
I love Jay's sense of humor. I love his quirkiness, his weirdness, and it trickles through the organization. Joshua is just like super amazing at marketing and lead generation.
He's also an amazing, incredible speaker as well, and his knowledge of the internet and how to leverage business systems and how to create different scalable models so you can have the lifestyle that you want.
They actually gave you what they promised to give you, which that's not been my experience at seminars before at all.
The energy in the room was amazing. It's evident that they're surrounded by people who are absolutely loving, committed.
The people that are here are kind of coming together to all support and nurture one another in their dreams and visions and even their bank accounts. So it's fantastic.
Jay framed it that we were here to find resources and to be resources to each other every break. It was constant conversations with other people.
People here care, they're mission-driven, they're heart-centered, they want to make a difference, and they're also really business-focused as well.
The bottom line of all of it is love and standing for the best in people.
I had originally thought that it was going to be a really big deal to do a mastermind. I thought that it would take me a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of preparation. And the coolest takeaway I have is that I can do a beta mastermind with only 10 people and do that from a place of expertise.
Learning that masterminds could be super fun, like fun enough to go out and just have wine and have a party, make it fun.
I now have the blueprint, not just like a free opt-in, here's 6 steps you can do. I have the full manual of how to create a successful mastermind.
If you're looking to create a mastermind, there is seriously no one better in the world than Jay Fiset to support you in that goal.